Stage 2 of the 2006 Tour de France saw American George Hincapie ride in yellow for the first time, and former leader Thor Hushovd back on his bike after a nasty finish the day before. But this day would not be easy, as the known sprinters wanted their chance to take back glory. On course, Hushovd gained crucial seconds at the sprint bonus and reclaimed his right to wear yellow. Then, in a chaotic dispute for the stage win, Australia's fast man Robbie McEwen hit the throttle and came home with a well-deserved victory. But the race to Paris is far from over, and today the peloton rides on through Belgium for another chance to shake up the standings. Join us as their journey continues. Stage 3, next on OLN. Welcome to the Saab Tour pre-race show. Stage 3 begins in Luxembourg and ends in the Netherlands, in between Belgium and some fantastic rides, which will bring back memories of Liège-Bastogne-Liège and the Amstel Gold Race. The finish will look a lot like that today. Here's our mobile studio. It's a Dutch treat on a hot one. Last thing in the world you'd want to be doing today is wearing a dark blazer. Oh, well, we've got that going for us. Hi, everybody. Al Trautwig along with Bob Roll. A little bit later, Phil Liggett and Paul Sherwen will join us, of course, behind us. We've been in more glamorous locations. That's pretty much a Dutch tree. Anyway, we have a lot to look forward to in terms of cycling today, and why is that when I say spring classics?
Well, when we look at the whole season that the bike racers compete in, they start way back in December and January doing the training camps. The races start in February. They race here in March when it is winter-like and absolutely miserable conditions following the racers. But today, that's not the case. Even though the hills are the same from the classics, the weather is quite a bit better.
Things like this happen in the Tour, but already Strasbourg seems like a long time ago, and a lot has developed. Let's go back and show you what has happened in this race. In the race for the overall lead, the yellow jersey. George Hincapie wearing it for a time, and Thor Hushovd started off well in terms of his Norwegian hopes with a win in the prologue.
Under 23 world time trial champion in his youth, Thor Hushovd doing a great ride. George Hincapie pressing him all the way to the line, falling 0.7 of a second shy of the big Norwegian Thor Hushovd. He puts on the 2006 first yellow jersey of the Tour.
On we went to stage 1, and it was quite obvious that George Hincapie wanted to wear the yellow jersey.
George was a little bit disappointed at not having won the prologue. He put that to rights the next day, getting 2 seconds there taken off of his time. Thor Hushovd got to the finish line, trying to get some of that time back, was hit by one of the sponsors' little placards there and cut his shoulder wide open, and George Hincapie got the jersey back because of that sprint earlier in the day.
On to stage 2 we go, and it was quite obvious that the sprinters wanted to take center stage.
Tom Boonen leading from Thor Hushovd. This is for time bonuses and points out on the course. Intermediate sprint, Hushovd winning that rather easily in front of big Tom Boonen. Because of all of that time added up, he was able to take the jersey back from George Hincapie, who had gotten it on stage number 1. The big Norwegian, after that dramatic cut to his arm, he was able to get the yellow jersey back. Great riding by the Norwegians.
So here are the overall standings. The race for the yellow jersey presented by Michelob Ultra. Tom Boonen right there and Robbie McEwen as well. And this includes George Hincapie at 10 seconds back. These are all very doable times for everybody. We are so close in this Tour de France right now that we could change all the jerseys every single day. Valverde, O'Grady, Rogers. Now let's check out the Americans. Floyd Landis, 21 seconds back. Christopher Horner for David Lotto at 27. Julich for CSC. He may emerge as the leader of that team now, or maybe Christian Vande Velde. Who knows how things are going to shake out for CSC now that the one-time favorite, Ivan Basso, has been dismissed. Now, one of the interesting things that happened in yesterday's stage was that there's 3 sprinters basically that we've been zooming in on, and they are Thor Hushovd, Tom Boonen, and Robbie McEwen. Boonen and Hushovd seemed like they wanted a battle, and then Robbie McEwen was like a ghost for most of the stage until it mattered at the end.
Absolutely. We didn't see Robbie McEwen until quite a bit further on into the stage, and that was about 200 meters from the finish line. Intermediate sprints there for points for the green jersey, also time for the yellow jersey. Thor Hushovd taking on Tom Boonen on that one, and this one, Boonen leading out, and rather handily, it was Thor Hushovd hauling and holding, getting those time bonuses and sprints there. Tom Boonen started to feel a little bit better on the last sprint, number 3 in Yutz. Stuart O'Grady getting in there in the action. Here's the sprint to the finish line in Yutz, I guess. McEwen, the fastest man on the day, untouchable. Hushovd pulling his foot out of the pedal and still able to get third with one leg and a cut arm. That's pretty good. Boonen getting in there for second place on the stage.
The bonus is enormous at the finish line compared to how it is in the intermediate sprint. So Robbie McEwen takes the green jersey. in these standings presented by Festina, but it's only 3 points between him and Tor Hushop. The polka dot jersey yesterday, this is going to heat up again, but yesterday David De La Fuente for Saunier Duval was the man on the climbs. The sprinting star was McEwen because of how he finished and claimed the stage. The yellow jersey is back on the big Norwegian body of Tor Hushop. And here you go. The jersey's changing hands. Benoit Vaurenard of France is the best young rider, and boy, do the French cycling fans like that. So we talk about the Spring Classics, we talk about the stage. I had a chance to drive to the finish today, and wow, the turns near the end, starting at about 4 kilometers, are really, really tight, and then there's a very big climb that could just rip the peloton apart near the finish.
Absolutely. The Amstel Gold Race finishes with the Cowberg year in and year out, and the riders will go over that in the Tour de France today. Starting in Luxembourg, going up through Belgium, and you can see the overall country of France there with the 6 countries involved. Spain way down in the south, but we'll be in the far north of the continent. Luxembourg through the Grand Duchy into Belgium. Some of the climbs from Liège-Bastogne-Liège will be featured, and the finishing climb of the Amstel Gold Race and into Valkenburg for the finishing town.
And that stage map presented by AMD. You may not know it, but we find ourselves right in the middle of them, those people called Schlugs. It's time now for Bob Key's Guide to the Tour. We're in the capital of Schlugiville, are we not, Bob?
We are absolutely in the heartland, the fatherland of the Schlugs, and welcome to Schlugiville. Flemish-speaking bike fan, he knows every single factoid and placing and result verbatim since the 03 Tour. Tom Boonen is a deity to them. They worship him. The Tour of Flanders is the equivalent of the Super Bowl, the Olympics, and the World Cup combined.
Wow.
And they can describe a full tour stage with 5 hand gestures and 3 grunts. Auf, Junge, and then coming, ah!
So welcome to Schlugiville. But the Belgians have every reason to be proud. A Belgian has won the Tour de France more than France has combined. We'll take a break. When we come back, Phil and Paul will rejoin us. We'll recap what happened in 1986. This is the 20th anniversary of Greg LeMond's breakthrough win for American cycling. This is the Saab Tour pre-race show as we get you set for Stage 3 of the Tour.
The 2006 Tour de France pre-race on OLN is presented by Saab. Once you've built jets, you don't build just another car. Saab, born from jets.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on. Introducing the all-new Saab 97X. Once you've built jets, you don't build just another SUV. Saab, born from jets. And now with the Saab 72-hour sales event, get 0% financing for 60 months. Take off in a new Saab today.
It's a 3-nation Stage 3 of the Tour today. We'll start in Luxembourg, head through Belgium, past some legendary villages, and make our way to Valkenburg in the Netherlands. Where?
Schlugiville, Slugelen right there.
Meanwhile, this fan thinks George's time is soon coming in the Tour de France. Let's say you're in Richmond, Virginia, and you wanted to visit the Stanley Cup champion Hurricanes. Well, that's a little bit like what Stage 3 will be like today. Boy, it's a technical Stage 3, too, at least the final miles of it. Al Trautwig, Bob Roll, Paul Sherwen, and Phil Liggett, of course. Bob's been reading the pink pages of the Italian sports newspaper La Gazzetta. Operation Puerto's not going away anytime soon. 9 men dismissed from the Tour before the race began, and now we start to find out why.
Basso accusa in 5 punti e con un conto svizzero. Swiss bank account, 5 accusation points leveled at Ivan Basso. They have delivered the dossier from the Civil Guard in Spain to the UCI. Basso, in his defense, hasn't seen that, but the officials in Italy and in the UCI headquarters in Switzerland have received the full 500-page document from the Spanish police about this huge doping affair.
Obviously, the Italian press is concerned with Basso, but it's a lot more than him. What does it mean, Phil?
Well, first of all, we must remember that these guys aren't guilty until proven so, and here in Europe, the press tend to be judge and jury well in advance of final decisions. But If they are found guilty, they will face long-term suspension. In fact, the UCI is saying they now have the full list. They will contact the National Federation of those riders, and they will expect 2-year suspensions to follow if the accusations are proved. And they've actually said, in the case of Tyler Hamilton, who is also linked to this list, if he is proved to have been involved, he will get a life ban because it will be his second offence.
This will all play out in the future. Meanwhile, let's go into the past of the Tour de France, so rich, especially 1986 from an American perspective. After the first two parts of what Greg LeMond and Bernard Hinault went through, we've reached the point where Greg LeMond realizes this promise he thought he had from Hinault to win his own Tour was not coming true.
Well, it certainly wasn't. You know, halfway through that tour, all of a sudden, we've heard it explained a number of times, there were two camps. There was the English-speaking camp, there was the French-speaking camp, and there was a Swiss right down the middle. I have to say, Greg all of a sudden realized he was going to have to win this Tour de France on his own.
American cycling fans remember 1986 very well. Here's how it unfolded on the roads of France. The 1986 Tour was underway, but so far nothing was going right for Greg LeMond. Bernard Hinault and his team had recanted on their promise to race for him, and everything and everyone appeared to be against Greg LeMond.
I was just, you know, kind of the idea of don't get mad, get even, and the next day was the big mountain stage, and I knew that I had to figure out one way or another to get back several minutes on Hinault, as much as I could. We caught Hinault just at the base of the last climb, and I purposely went up and said, "How you feeling?" And he just kind of grunted. And I countered attacked, took almost nearly 5 minutes out of Hinault in the last climb. So it got me back to the level playing field. And so it was kind of like, oh, I'm back in contention. But 3 days later, Hinault was at it again, and Hinault got in a split. And again, the group just stopped. Again, after that stage, I confronted Tapi and Coakley and said, if I'm racing against my own teammate and I'm not going to be racing against my own team, I don't want any part of it. I'll go home. I'll go home tonight. And I did threaten that. I threatened that it's over. I'm not racing against my own teammate. And, you know, they calmed me down and convinced me that Hinault wasn't going to be a threat. He would help me. And the next day, I had a very good day, and Hinault had a very bad day. I ended up taking the yellow jersey in that stage to the Col de Grand Homme, just outside of Briançon. You know, I had the lead, but I just didn't trust anybody anymore.
LeMond's suspicions were justified, but as the pair destroyed the peloton on the way to Alpe d'Huez, the weeks and years of mistrust appeared to fade away. Then again, things are not always as they appear.
Bernard Tapi was following the race and came up and basically told me, let Hinault, Hinault's kind of as a retirement race, you know, it's all live TV, let Hinault lead Alpe d'Huez, and then you two come hand in hand across the finish. It was kind of a marketing ploy. He wanted to show teamwork, and it was a pretty spectacular finish, but we rode up Alpe d'Huez probably as easy as I've ever ridden up it, and we came hand in hand. I let him win the stage, and I'm kind of just relieved that the competition between me and Hinault is over. And I've got the Tour, he wins the stage, it's over. And the press conference, literally, you know, an hour later, he knows the race isn't over until the last time trial. I'm just in total shock. Like, oh my God, I wish you would have said that before the Alpe d'Huez. I mean, we could have raced side by side and attacked each other, and whoever would have won, would have won.
While Bernard Hinault would win the final time trial, he could not catch Greg LeMond. This Tour was his, and after 83 years, an American was finally atop the podium in Paris.
Looking back now, I would have done the same thing that Hinault did. I mean, I would have gone for my 6th Tour de France, because it would have set a record, and it would have stood for a long time. Hinault and Tapi and Coakley did almost everything they could to not let me win in 1986. It left a very bitter taste in my mouth for cycling, and it took away all the admiration I had for Hinault completely. I mean, I despised him after 86. I saw a side of him that I never saw in 6 years. And I can look back now and, you know, understand it, but at the time it was just, you know, very emotional, very raw.
Well, guys, it's Greg's life to live and feel any way he wants, but you could argue that Bernard Hinault pushed him to become as great as he was that year.
Yes, you could, but you know, Eno is a very determined man, and he was, as Greg said, he would have been winning his 6th tour. I believe he wanted to win that tour. The previous year, I think Eno felt he was just going over the top, and Le Mans was getting just a bit too good, so he could make the deal. Next year, I'm back. I'll help you win, because there's no chance for me. But Eno got to that tour in great condition. He thought, hey, no, I can win this tour, and I reckon the double cross was there, but in the end Greg beat him simply because he was the better rider.
Bob, you were in that tour. Are you aware of all these things that are going on?
Well, Greg would come back in the peloton and try to find people to commiserate with, but he had to go so far back to find any of us that he could never really get a word out. And we were in the back like dying like animals. Ah! And he would say, oh my God, he knows trying to steal the tour from me, and we couldn't even talk.
All right, we will have part 4 of the Greg LeMond breakthrough performance a little bit tomorrow on the Saab pre-race show. Right now we're going to talk about the yellow jersey and the Saab predictions. You can hear the Tour de France orchestra now. That's right, another great pick. Robin McEwen for 8 big yellow jersey points. Bob Roll continues to be on such a roll. Paul Sherwen 4, and Phil Liggett. I guess David Beckham has been making his picks or something. What's up,
Liggett's a slow starter. Don't forget, it's 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
My
Finished
man,
second
my
last year.
best friend is 21 years
yeah.
together.
All right, so I've got it again, the Saab yellow jersey. Here we go. Proud to wear it. Thank you very much. And now it is my honor to pick number 1 today, and I'm going with the man who delivered for me yesterday. Maybe not his kind of stage totally, but he's so hot. He seems so ready. He seems so strong, and he's not getting any younger. I look for Robbie McEwen to do it again for number 10. Why are you laughing again, Phil?
There's a problem, a bit of a hill in the way. It's a bit runny on the way to the finish. Dodgy.
All right, Paul, your choice. Go ahead. They laughed last time.
Well, he who laughs last sometimes comes up with the goods. I've got a feeling this afternoon a man who likes this part of the world, Alejandro Valverde, might get himself the win here this afternoon, because he's won not too far away from here twice so far this season. I think there'll be a split down towards the end, and I think the man from Spain is going to come up with the goods.
All right, Phil slides up a notch as we move on the day after picking last.
Yes, that's true, and in fact the man I chose yesterday got me up a notch, so I'm off and running now, and I'm going again for Oscar Freire, a strong man on the Cowberg, somebody who possibly can hold the field off as they run up to the lines. 2 kilometers to the finish. Oscar's the boy.
Bob Roll.
I think I'm going to go with the breakaway guy, a guy that's really good in the classics, and that's this part of the world. He comes from Belgium, Philippe Gilbert on the FDJ squad. Not a lot to crow about for that team so far. He's got great speed in the hills, and I think he's your man for a surprise win. And if he does win, I'll get those 4 points, and you guys will be blanked out, and that's going to be good living.
All right, we're set to race. We're going to take a break. Phil and Paul head to the booth to call stage 3, and we get set for the stage of the Tour de France. It should be a great finish. And who to watch today? Perhaps some of these classic winners like Eric Decker of the Netherlands. That's where the finish line is. Michael Boogert, Frank Schleck from CSC in his first tour. Eric Zabel, the veteran, in this Flèche Wallonne and Liège-Bastogne-Liège. This will be moving right along near where that course goes. Alejandro Valverde has experience there as a winner in that race. So keep an eye on them. We'll keep an eye on everybody. This is the 2006 Tour de France on OLN. Stage 3 next.
The 2006 Tour de France pre-race on OLN is presented by Saab. Once you've built jets, you don't build just another car. Saab, born from jets.
Virus recovery button. The Lenovo ThinkPad Z60 with Intel Centrino mobile technology.
As a pilot, Dave Grady has done the walk-around hundreds of times. But this one might have saved his most precious cargo.
If you add weight to your car, don't take off until your tires are properly inflated.
Mario Andretti and Firestone remind you.
Check your tires.
Come and save at Circuit City's Red, White, and Blue sale. This Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, get no interest till 2008 on all purchases $299 and up. Plus, all digital cameras, camcorders, and home audio are on sale. And get up to 10% off TVs at Circuit City.
Is the IRS keeping you up at night? Are you afraid of losing everything? Don't let the IRS control your life.
Hello, I'm John Harris, president of J.K. Harris & Company. The IRS can attach your wages, your pension, your savings, even your Social Security checks. If penalties and interest have made your IRS problem go from bad to worse, call us now.
Call the IRS experts at J.K. Harris now for your free confidential tax settlement analysis.
Call 800-875-8195.
NHRA Powerade Drag Racing.
7,000 horsepower.
330 miles an hour. And every ticket's a pit pass.
Experience the intense power. Witness the unbelievable speeds and fierce side-by-side racing. Be sure to check out Nitro Alley and test your drag racing skills on lifelike Nitro Funny Car Simulators. It's the Mopar Mile High NHRA Nationals, July 14th through the 16th at Bandimere Speedway in Morrison. Tickets are on sale now. You've got to see it to believe it.
Get out of credit card debt now with Safeguard Credit Counseling Services. Safeguard is a nonprofit debt management company dedicated towards helping you get out from under your mounting credit card debt while still meeting your monthly financial obligations. Regardless of your credit history, Safeguard negotiates with your creditors and lowers your interest rate down to 0 to 10%. We consolidate all of your credit card payments into one low monthly payment, and you can save thousands of dollars. Pay off that debt in a fraction of the time. Call now for a free no-obligation analysis.
Yesterday, stage 2, an Aussie, Robbie McEwen, comes out of nowhere to outsprint the field for the 9th time in his career. It's off to the right, the man we want to see, and Robbie McEwen takes it on the line. That man is unbelievable, and he's done it. Today, 216 kilometres takes the peloton through Belgium and into Holland, where local hero Tom the Tornado Boonen will try to flex his sprinting muscles. Can he make his home country proud, or will one of the other men of speed steal his thunder? Find out who will cross the line, winner of stage 3, next on OLN. So far, this is the Sunshine Tour de France. Every day we have a new leader, and every day at the moment it seems we have a new country as well. Now we're off to Holland, the bike-mad country, where they're hoping today they will see a Dutch rider crossing the line first. And you know, they may be doing just that. Hi everybody, Phil Liggett with Paul Sherwen. Paul, it's true, this has been a great tour so far.
Been absolutely crazy. So many different leaders. It's all about battling for seconds, and it's going to be like that all the way until we get to the first individual time trial in Rennes, because there are so many riders within a minute of the overall lead.
Well, Norway certainly are tuning in because they have a new superstar now, Thor Hushovd. He's surprised by becoming the first Norwegian to win the prologue on Saturday. Then he crashed, went to hospital, came back, and he regained the yellow jersey, which he took back off the American George Hincapie.
What a battle it was yesterday. It was a battle of the sprinters. It was all about time bonuses, and that's what this race has been about so far. Again, there are 3 intermediate sprints today. One at 182 kilometres to go, 73 kilometres to go, and 40 kilometres to go. And at those sprint points, you can earn 6, 4, and 2 seconds. But even more importantly, at the finish line, there's 20 seconds for the winner, 12 and 8 seconds for the man who finishes in 3rd place.
Well, there are more than 100 riders in the race, split by just 50 seconds. But it's not just a race about time, it's also a matter of the green points jersey. Robbie McEwen has won this jersey in Paris on 2 occasions. He was the first Australian winner as well. Well, now he's looking for more points today. It's a good fight, this one. McEwen is just 3 points ahead of his arch rival Thor Hushovd, who won this title last year. Another first for the Norwegian. Tom Bonin. Many people fancy him to win today. He's in third place with 49. Daniela Bernardi is fourth. And another Australian green jersey wearer of old, Stuart O'Grady, is there. Paul, this is how we score it.
Well, this is what the points are all about, and this is what those riders are going for in that green jersey competition. Points at the intermediate points along the way, 6, 4 and 2 points, but the big points again are on the finish line for the sprinters. 35 points for the first man across the line, 22 points for the fifth place rider, and then from 6th down to 25th, it's 20 points, right the way down to just a single one.
So that's how it works. Let's just take ourselves back to the start today. Remember, the race was in Luxembourg. It crosses Belgium, finishes in Holland. Still wearing the bandage on the right there, the arm of Thor Hushovd, and just behind him there I can see David Zabriskie, and we've got the green jersey there. Zabriskie sitting in the back having a chat, settling into the race at the moment as he sits there talking with Jens Voigt, who's the solid boy on the CSC team. Christophe Moreau expected to be the leader soon of the AG2R team, with the absence now of Francisco Mancebo. Hushovd chatting with the world champion Tom Bonin. They could be shoulder to shoulder when they come over the Kalberg in a few hours' time, because they are both in the frame to win today's stage. That is the 0 kilometre. Now the race is underway, and it is a scorcher today. Well, by the time we got down to the first sprint at Mersch, after 35 kilometres, 21.5 miles, there was a breakaway of 5 riders, and yes, Jens Voigt had given up his conversation with Dave Zabriskie, moved into the breakaway, and here he was taking out a 6 seconds time bonus.
Well, Jens Voigt, always a man to go out for the early move, especially in the early part of any Tour de France. Gets himself maximum points here, but what he's thinking about, I think, is a lot longer down the road, because he thinks today, sometime or another in the early part of this Tour de France, the breakaway is going to survive.
Just to give you the full rundown here of the 5 riders: Jens Voigt, CSC, Jose Luis Arrieta of AG2R, Unai Echeverria of Euskaltel, second time on the attack for him in the last couple of days, Jerome Pinot of Bouygues Telecom, and Christophe Laurent, also of AG2R. Those are the boys in the lead. Now let's go to the live action. The peloton are well in excess of 40 kilometers an hour today. The weather, as you can see, is sunny at 86 degrees Fahrenheit and 40% humidity. It is very, very hot. All of the big peloton together here. The gap is 5 minutes and 54 seconds, 92 kilometers left to ride. But Paul, all the meat on today's stage is in those 92 kilometers.
It's all stacked up at the end. It really is very much like a combination of two of the greatest one-day classics of all time, Liège-Bastogne-Liège and the Amstel Gold Race. And there's a number of riders in this field this afternoon who are specialists at those one-day classics, and they will be thinking that this is going to be the stage for them. But the Tour de France is not exactly the same as a one-day classic, because a lot of riders try and hold a little bit back, because after all they have to get into the saddle every day and race like this for the next 3 weeks. Well, you can see again Crédit Agricole are fairly happy to keep the tempo at the front end of the main field. I think they're fairly happy with this breakaway of 5 riders who currently at one stage had 6 minutes and 10 seconds. It's now starting to reach its maximum, I think, because everybody's just a little bit worried about giving them too much free rein.
That's right, and I think also they're going to be very nervous, Paul, because these roads are narrow. They're well known. All of these riders know these roads because this is the classic route here in Belgium. And so I think the riders are going to want to close this race down a little bit as we get towards the end. And of course, in Valkenburg, we haven't been down into the town since we came pretty early this morning, but I can tell you on the finishing line there's plenty of people. But Valkenburg will be jam-packed.
Town will be absolute chaos, and in fact at the top of the climb, Rabobank, the bank who sponsor the bicycle race, the bicycle team in this event, they've got 2,500 seats. They've got almost a restaurant of their own at the top of the Kalberg, which they want to see, of course, somebody like Michael Bergert or Eric Decker take out the win.
That's right. We'll see lots of these tortuous little roads today as we go through the Belgian Ardennes at first, and then finishing the day in the third country of the day in the Netherlands. Tomorrow the race will restart from Belgium in Huy, another famous town on the worlds of the classic races like Flèche Wallonne. It's 96 kilometers to go. We're in the town of Trois Ponts, 3 bridges. And a very pretty little zone this now as a part of the route of Liège-Bastogne-Liège. The peloton, I think, will start to close this break down a bit quicker today. as they're packing up the field here. Remember, less than a minute covering well over 100 riders in this race, and the question everybody is thinking today is who will be the next person to wear the leader's maillot jaune, because I reckon it'll change again today. We'll find out as the day goes on. We'll take a first break. Rejoin us in a moment here live on OLN.
The 2006 Tour de France on OLN is brought to you by your Trek dealer, your local Tour Mania headquarters. Come in daily to catch Tour Mania and get huge savings on bikes and accessories. And by LLB, official outfitter of OLN.
Play the Tour Mania Scratch and Win sweepstakes at your local Trek dealer for a chance to win one of thousands of neat prizes, including a ride with Lance, and get a healthy dose of savings on bikes and accessories. Play every day at TrekBikes.com.
Thanks, Trek!
LL Bean gear. If it lives up to our test, you can be sure it will live up to yours. For a free catalog of everything you need for fall, call us or shop now at llbean.com.
The real-world testing we do here at Honda's Safety Research Center enables us to design products that provide exceptional protection for drivers, passengers, and pedestrians. Because what we learn in here makes a difference out there.
OLNTV.com is on tour with exclusive video, photos, bios, race routes, stage summaries, and forecasts. OLNTV.com, your link to the Tour de France.
George Hincapie spent 7 years protecting, 7 years taking the wind, 7 years helping Lance win 7, 7 years preparing for year 8. The cyclism, the men who would be king, Tour de France, continues tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. live, only on OLN.
Here's to men, to guys who want to take longer drives with fewer pit stops, to guys who want to spend less time in the men's room and more time fishing. And here's to Flomax. It's approved to treat male urinary symptoms due to BPH, also called an enlarged prostate. In 1 week, Flomax may help symptoms like going often, going urgently, weak stream, frequently waking up at night to go. For you, Flomax could make a difference in 1 week. Ask your doctor if symptoms are from BPH, not prostate cancer. Common side effects of Flomax are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Upon standing, a sudden decrease in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. So when starting Flomax, avoid situations where injury could result. For more information, call 877-4-FLOMAX. Ask your doctor about Flomax. Flomax could make a difference in 1 week.
Welcome back. The peloton on the Tour de France, 175 on the start line today. We've only lost one so far. That was poor, sick Danilo De Luca yesterday. And this another long day in the saddle today of well over 130 miles. This is the breakaway. This is the sort of crowd we expect to see in Belgium. This is a bike-mad country. These are the 5 leaders: Jens Voigt, Jose Luis Arrieta, Unai Echeverria, Jerome Pinot, and Christophe Laurent. Voigt, the most experienced of them all. He's riding his 9th Tour de France this year. And the peloton itself has just about got through the feed zone in Trois Ponts, the town that these leaders passed through over 5 minutes ago now. Let's see if we can show you some pictures of the peloton in Trois Ponts. Here they go. Just keep your eye on the right there. Off goes the souvenirs. And here comes some of Bob Roll's famous slugs. It's mine. No, it's not. It's mine. And we move on. Well, you see, this is the area now where the lie falls on Belgium. This is the Côte de la Haute-Levée, and this is a cracker. It's 5.5%, it's 86 kilometers to go, and these hills come thick and fast now, all the way to the finishing line. They look as though they're struggling, and they are, because of the heat of the day today. No real urgency on these boys, Paul. They're not going to be stupid and destroy themselves under the hot sun today. They're just going to see what the peloton does in an effort to bring them back. It's a long climb, Haute-Levée, really, just over 3 kilometers.
It's a long, hard climb. As I say, most of these guys will know the climb because it is covered in the Liège-Bastogne-Liège race. But in a breakaway situation like this, still so far to go to the finish. You don't want to rip the breakaway apart. You want to try and keep it together, try and get as much energy out of each member of the breakaway as possible to hold on to the breakaway's advantage, which I'm sure will start to diminish once we get over the top of the climb and start to get that little bit closer to the finish. It is a complicated run-in as well once the riders get over the border into Holland, because one thing that Michael Bogard was saying this morning is he knows every inch of the way it's going to be an incredible atmosphere when they cross the border. But one thing that makes racing in Holland dangerous is there are so many of those directional islands. I think there are a lot more in Holland than anywhere else in Europe.
Well, it's a tight fit for the peloton down there as they just continue to monitor just how they're going to tackle this climb of the Côte de Haute-Levée, which they're approaching now, because I think this might be the start of some moves here. A lot of riders still have designs on an early yellow jersey in this race, and you've got to stay right up near the front today. I think just through the middle there, left of our picture in the green and lime colours, is Floyd Landis of the United States, tipped among many as a favourite. Now he's riding very sensibly, Paul, getting himself near the front for the climbs to come.
Well, everybody, I think, over the first week of the Tour de France wants to ride in this position. That's actually why it makes it so much more dangerous the first week of racing. Everybody wants to make sure they don't get involved in a crash, and that's why Floyd Landis is riding very much to the front. Over to the right-hand side with the dark glasses, you might have just caught a glimpse there of Levi Leipheimer. He also is a candidate for the podium at the end of this year's Tour de France. And I noticed Team CSC massing to the front on the other side. They may well be starting to decide that Bobby Julich is going to be their team leader.
Yes, and these are the riders who are just basically trying to keep out of trouble on these early days of the Tour before we get down to the time trial. Looking down there on the beautiful Abbey of Stavelot. This was one of the Holy Roman Empires, and it's down there. It's been there for more than 1,000 years. So as the riders move around now, when you get to Stavelot, you know you're getting towards the hills of the Haute-Levée. And we're getting information too as well about some of the power the riders are using today. And Michael Rogers, he's just on his situation, is running at around 68% stress based on 100 being maximum. So he's in no trouble yet in the Belgian Ardennes.
Well, in the main field, I think a lot of riders will be cruising on a stage like this. This is the average power I would expect to see a rider generating over this kind of course. Brand tanking, pushing out around about 212 watts. Fairly average heart rate for him at around about 148. Most of these athletes have a maximum at around about the 180 mark. There's a little problem here.
A bit of a change of tyre here. It's just for the Cofidis rider in the peloton.
Trick for Brugge.
Yeah. He seems to have lost his form a little bit, actually, Paul. He was going well at the start of the year, but he's not been doing... I was quite disappointed with his prologue time trial. He didn't do a great ride at all. Anyway, we've got Verbrugge up and away. Very good time trial, time change. Well, there must have been something on the road here, because we've just lost another rider here now. It looks like 50 Hugo Penny, who's gone away there. It is. Well, he's also in the car, so he'll get back smoothly. He won't make a big flat-out effort to rejoin and waste his energy. He'll just gently pedal back up to the group, who are all now on the climb of the Côte de Haute-Levée. Now, don't forget, after our live coverage, you get enhanced coverage of the Tour de France in Stage 3, and we'll have all the additional interviews, some of the American riders doing those for us, plus, of course, Craig Hummel will bring us a look at Luxembourg itself. That's the primetime show. Enhanced primetime coverage begins at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 9 p.m. Pacific. And daily coverage of the Tour de France, of course, is right here on OLN. As we look down below, then, one or two flat tyres coming at probably a convenient time of today's stage of the Tour de France, because all of the major obstacles are still ahead. And Jens Voigt is the man spearheading a five-man breakaway as they race towards Holland and the finish. We'll see you in a moment.
OLN serves up the return of Pete Sampras in the network premiere of World Team Tennis. A unique and exciting format featuring the best players in the world, head-to-head, team-to-team. And leading up to exclusive coverage of the championship match in August.
It's World Team Tennis on OLN.
July 16th, Pete Sampras and the Newport Beach Breakers take on the 5-time WTT champs, Sacramento Capitals. World Team Tennis, presented by Advanta. July 16th at 11:30, only on
aerodynamics. The biggest contribution that a frame can make is to shield the rear wheel. That's why Cervelo uses this cutout that follows the exact width of the rear wheel and goes up as high as possible.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on. Introducing the all-new Saab 97X. Once you've built jets, you don't build just another SUV. Saab, born from jets. And now with the Saab 72-hour sales event, get 0% financing for 60 months. Take off in a new Saab today.
Somewhere between exits 45 and 50, an order was canceled. Somewhere between a hose and a radiator, there was trouble. Somewhere between noon and 2:30, there was a change of plans. And somewhere between where you are and where you're going, there's a Super 8. See you along the way.
Drive to rewards at Super 8 and you can win a hot Chevy Uplander. For details, visit super8.com.
Hi, everybody. I'm Yolanda, telling you that Comcast high-speed internet is worth it. Worth it to download quicker, to win auctions in the last second, and worth it to help with that homework. You can have high speed, surfing up to 100 times faster. Want all the worth it of Comcast high-speed internet? Check this out.
Call 1-800-COMCAST today and get high-speed internet for just $29.99 a month for 6 months. Plus, get a self-install kit for just $1.
Comcast high-speed internet gets a thumbs up from Oxygen and a W for worth it.
One chick, one chicken dinner. 6 chicks, 6 chicken dinners. 1 is good, 6 is better. Especially for NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing. Now you can add not just 1, but 6 channels of in-car coverage, plus data, telemetry, and team audio, all with NASCAR in-car, only on digital cable. Order today for just $69. Call 1-888-COMCAST today. When it comes to sports, we're on your team.
Welcome back. As we just in time here, we're looking at the sprint opening up for the top of the climb of the Haute Levée, and that is Jerome Pino waiting for no one. I thought Jens Voigt would have gone for this, but he hasn't bothered. It's Jerome Pino who gets the points. I think he's got 3 points at the moment in the King of the Mountains competition, so he can add on another half dozen now. He might be looking to take the lead in that championship today. Unai Echeverria getting 3 points. Oh, it's 4 for the win, Pino, today, and it's a 3rd category climb, that one. And Christophe Laurent from AG2R getting the 3rd place. He's probably the most inexperienced rider in this group. It's his 2nd tour for him. Meanwhile, the serious faces of the boys behind. And there on the left is Floyd Landis, looking very cool, calm and collected. Remember, he was delayed in the prologue time trial when he realized he had a big cut in his tyre. They changed the wheel. He was slightly late at the start, probably 6 or 7 seconds. It'll all be no interest to anybody by the time we get to Paris. The Norwegian flag flying there. Well, very proudly too. The only Norwegian in the race is leading, of course, Thor Hushovd. And as they come up, and you'll see that the 2 little leaders' jerseys, which we're concentrating on, yellow on time, green on points. They're also in the big pack today at 4 minutes and 40 seconds. They're slowly coming in. We pulled it back from over 6 minutes, and this is the way it'll stay now, because these riders are going to keep fast tempo, not necessarily to chase the leaders, but also, in fact, to try and hold their own position at the head of the peloton and stop the others moving up. So let's have a look at the situation in the King of the Mountains. De La Fuerte had a lovely day out in his first Tour de France yesterday. He's still the King of the Mountains so far. 2 points ahead of Fabien Weckman. Aitor Hernandez in that breakaway with De La Fuente most of the day yesterday. He came up into third. Jerome Pinot is up there in fourth. But he will have moved up a little bit now with the points he's just won on the Haute Levée. He'll be looking for the lead. Looking down across the forest down here of the Ardennes as we continue quite quickly now, Paul, at 4:31. I think half of the pace making at the front is simply to hold position rather than chase the breakaway down, so the pace is going to lift and lift.
It seems to be lifting all the time. You can see all the big contenders riding fairly close to the front. I've seen a lot of Floyd Landis, a lot of Levi Leipheimer keeping in the first 15, 20 places. It's on stages like this, especially when it's very hot, that you see accidents happen in the main field, because what happens with the heat is riders' reaction times also tend to get slowed down a fraction. And if somebody hears a set of brakes going in front of them, if you touch the brakes at the wrong time, what you'll see happening is a mass pileup. And the best and safest place to be is right at the front end of the main field.
And there is the main field, front end, just gone over the top of the Côte de la Haute Levée. Next stop will go down into Spa, which also used to be the start town for the Flèche Wallonne, but it's now Huy at the moment. And there'll be a special time bonus sprint there, and then we go into the hills for the small climbs. And just thinking as we watch the peloton here, Paul, I was just looking at the result last night and remarking how well David Miller has eased into the Tour de France when he's been suspended for 2 years, because he had a good finish yesterday, lost no time to the leaders, and he's sitting in a very high overall position in 18th, and we haven't seen him, so he may be riding a very intelligent race here.
Well, he's got to really feel his way around the first week of the Tour de France. He was actually in the front split yesterday as well, in front of all of the accidents. So he is doing very well, and I think we'll see how he rides when it comes to the first individual time trial, because that's probably better suited to a man on the comeback trail.
Absolutely, he could really move up there. So as we continue, Miller, of course, from Great Britain, and here comes the boys of the American rider there, Floyd Landis, setting the pace. They've got a plan today. I wonder if Floyd's planning on doing something. Well, don't forget to log on to olntv.com, fly to the finish. Every day during the tour, it's your chance to win a Saab and other great prizes. Now, here's a look at today's code word, and it is USA. Well, the Saab's flying to the finish. Now we just need the code word. There it is for you. USA it is, so make a note of that. Back out with the leaders as we continue. Sitting at the back now, the man who is inching closer to being the next leader of the King of the Mountains, Jerome Pinot. That'll be a good catch for the Bouygues Telecom team, especially as it's French. And Jerome riding his 5th Tour de France, his best ever finish is 43rd. He did it last year, and in fact he's finished all 3 tours so far. So everything going well for him. Oh, and now what's this? A bit of a problem here, and this is Carlos de Cruz, I think it is. Another flat tire. I'm just wondering why they're getting flat tires, and it probably is not the road surface, but the fact that it is so hot that it is being caused by the heat of the day, and they've put too much pressure into those tires, and they're actually exploding because the rims are getting so hot. I can't think it's the roads. They look very good. Setting the pace at the front now. Floyd Landis' team. Now, there's no reason for Phonak to ride like this at the front unless they're trying to get Floyd Landis into a position to attack today. Well, I wonder. That'll be a cheeky one. See you in a moment.
It's coming. 5 new vehicles. All have our best ideas within them. All are engineered for people who love the road. It's coming. The next generation of Nissan thinking for the next generation of Nissan drivers. Get ready. Shift 2.0 is coming.
Your life doesn't have one dimension. Neither should your beer. Michelob Ultra. Because you do more. It does too. Live life to the ultra.
Bam here, gonna show you how Right Guard Extreme Power Stripe works. This team represents odor. This team represents the Power Stripe. Only Right Guard Extreme has the Power Stripe. It drops odor like a bad habit. Get Extreme! Get Right Guard!
All new Sundays on E! Ladies, hide your husbands, cause Paris and Nicole are moving in. And it's gonna be one heck of a homecoming.
Your mom is going to kill you.
But I didn't make the mess.
Yeah, but I'm gonna blame it on you.
The Simple Life, all new Sundays at 10, only on E!
For 7 years, one man ruled the roads of France. But now, his reign has ended, and the battle for his throne is about to begin. Who can follow a legend and create his own? Who can conquer the mountains and blaze through the trials? Who can survive the comparisons, the pressure, the fame? Who are the men who would be king? The Cyclism Tour de France 2006. Enhanced coverage tonight at 8 Eastern, only on OLN.
Here's to men, to guys who want to take longer drives with fewer pit stops, to guys who want to spend less time in the men's room and more time fishing. And here's to Flomax. It's approved to treat male urinary symptoms due to BPH, also called an enlarged prostate. In 1 week, Flomax may help symptoms like going often, going urgently, weak stream, frequently waking up at night to go. For you, Flomax could make a difference in 1 week. Ask your doctor if symptoms are from BPH, not prostate cancer. Common side effects of Flomax are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Upon standing, a sudden decrease in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. So when starting Flomax, avoid situations where injury could result. For more information, call 877-4FLOMAX. Ask your doctor about Flomax. Flomax could make a difference in 1 week.
Welcome back. No, we haven't switched sports. That Porsche down there is in the nearby race circuit at Spa-Francorchamps, where Raul Alcala once won a stage, the first ever Mexican to win a stage of the Tour. When we finished on this circuit, we also had a big pile-up in the bunch sprint, I seem to remember, with a rider called Rick van Linden bouncing up in the middle of it. Well, back with the field here, they're still chasing that breakaway of 5, but the gap continues to fall a little bit. The result of the only climb so far, Jérôme Pinot over Unai Echeverría and Christophe Laurent. Official gap is 4 minutes and 40 seconds, so they're holding them now. And interesting to see that Floyd Landis has got his team up here. There's Vyacheslav Yekimov too, just peeping in a blue jersey, riding his 15th Tour, which will make him the second most successful Tour rider as far as participations go. 4:35 on our little information board there. Anyway, as we watch the race here, let's remind ourselves as we follow Lance Armstrong, and we're checking in with the experienced Tour rider. Here's Lance on the Tour leaving France.
When the Tour leaves France, it automatically, I mean, the event itself is big in France. But as soon as it crosses a border, it's 10x. If that's into Belgium or Holland, Germany especially. I mean, last year we were in Germany. It's funny. I mean, you literally cross the border and you see the country sign, and it's a completely different race. And of course, the crowds are cheering for their local hero or their national hero. And I mean, when you have that many people on the roads, people stand in the middle of the street, they have their cameras up to their face, they don't think, they've been out there all day drinking, partying, having a big time, painting the roads. Sketchy, you have to watch for those people. I never thought I'd say this, but sometimes it's nice when the race crosses back into France.
Oh, there's no event like it. Today's Lance On brought to you by American Century Investments, mutual funds and institutional money management for more than 45 years. Back with the riders on today's stage of the Tour de France. We won't see France at all day because we've left Luxembourg. We're in Belgium. We're bound for Holland. 4 minutes 40 seconds still is the time gap. A lot of riders showing an interest. The flag of Flanders with the Belgian flag there showing that the riders have a nice tailwind at the moment, and very welcome it will be too in this heat.
It certainly will, but it seems as if the breakaway is getting caught without the pressure coming on the front end of the main field just yet, and that's an indication that the guys at the front are starting to weaken a fair amount.
But these guys have got to have a plan. But the Phonak team, which becomes the iShares team, a British investment banking company is sponsoring it from next year, they've got to have a plan. They wouldn't be riding in a group like this if they didn't.
No, everybody's riding at the front because they're expecting the roads to get more dangerous, and when you cross the border into Holland, there's a noticeable difference in the road surfaces and, of course, going through the towns. The Dutch towns are absolutely crazy because most of the Dutch roads actually have cycle paths, so the road themselves are actually designed just for traffic without thinking about bringing a bike race through with 170-odd bike riders.
That's right, so you've got a lot of traffic, furniture and tricky bends, so they've got to be careful. Well, Jerome Pino, sitting at the back of this group here, is edging ever closer. And this is something you never see, but the police must have been told there was a real emergency here, so somebody who's in that ambulance, probably nothing to do with the race. That's the only reason the Tour de France will move over, and that escort getting the ambulance onward to a hospital. So let's hope that turns out well. As the riders moved over, they will also know the ambulance is coming because they have little earpieces in. Their team manager will have warned them to move over and allow the race to pass by.
Jérôme Pinault just at the back here, and he's keeping an eye on how the rest of the race is starting to develop, because what he's thinking about is a stage win.
So as we look down on the peloton, we are getting a little bit of breakup today. Goodness knows why, because the sun is shining, not too many trees around, but it does happen. Well, as the peloton continue to try and pick up those 5 leaders, we're getting closer to Spa, and that will take us to 144 kilometers, and that is our second sprint of the day, where 6 points awaits the winner in the green jersey competition. None of those boys up front will endanger the lead of Robin McEwen yet, but then it could all change by the finish as well. We're off to the hills next, and we'll see you in just a moment.
July 26th, OLN Survivor Wednesdays returns with an earth-shaking season. Brace yourself for Survivor Vanuatu Islands of Fire. Go! The gender war is about to explode.
Picking them girls off one by one is what it's going to be about.
We're out for blood now.
Hot drama.
It's definitely personal. Screw you.
Molten tempers. You're messing me up! Steamy situations.
She's hot.
Guard! What are you doing? It's enough to cause an eruption. Survivor Wednesdays Vanuatu begins July 26th at 7 p.m. on OLN.
This is Duralast, the battery built to exceed the need. Engineered with all the cranking power you need for extreme conditions. Get the battery built to exceed the need. Only at AutoZone.
No, something new. We've been there.
Okay, folks.
Why not make a smaller one?
This summer, get the sunblock that also blocks the bite. New Bullfrog Mosquito Coast Sunblock and Repellent. Up to 8-hour protection against harmful rays and pesky bites without the odor. New Bullfrog Mosquito Coast. Block the burn and the bite.
They came. They stood toe-to-toe. They fought their hearts out.
I was the better man all night long.
Most people didn't see it that way.
Mosley dominated the early rounds. Vargas ruled the later rounds. Had it not been stopped, who knows what would have happened.
I beat him the first time, and I'm going to beat him again.
This time, I'm going to knock you out.
Mosley Vargas, the rematch, Saturday, July 15th, live on Events in Demand pay-per-view.
Order Mosley versus Vargas 2, live July 15th on Comcast.
Ken Shamrock very upset.
All I care about is getting in the ring and getting it on with Tito Ortiz.
Ken Shamrock's got the heart of a lion.
I know he wants to fight me again, which I don't understand because last time we fought, I gave him a beating.
I'm not going to lay down for anybody.
I hate the guy, and I know he hates me.
I demand respect, and if I don't get it, I'll take it.
The Ultimate Fighting Championship presents UFC 61, Bitter Rivals, live Saturday, July 8th on Events in Demand pay-per-view.
Back, and we are in the town of Spa here and about to start the second chase for the 6 points for the green jersey and the 6 seconds bonus. And Jens Voigt's taking a big interest in this, I have to say. He won the first one in Mersch, and he's gone for this one as well, and he takes it more or less with ease. Christophe Laurent was the other rider there, right up behind him, and I think that was Arietta. Oh, it was Laurent beating Arietta, so there was the result for you. As we start descending now, once you go up these short, snappy hills, then you have twisting descents round to the bottom, and then you climb up the next one. These peloton riders are descending now into Spa, which leaves them about 72 kilometers or 44 miles to go to the finish. And we'll then go on to the next little series of climbs. So our motorbike better move on a little bit there, because Quick-Step are bringing the charge down. Quick-Step is a Belgian team. They'll be looking to show the colours off today as well. And probably on this descent, it's a nice wide boulevard descent, no big effort being made, but they'll still probably be descending at around 45 miles an hour. So as they continue to take their respite, even though they are doing 45 miles an hour, let me remind you of another sport coming up on OLN, and that's the World Team Tennis, which comes to OLN with stars Venus Williams, Todd Martin, Martin Hingis, and the return of Pete Sampras. It all starts on Sunday, July 16, 11:30 a.m. with the Newport Breakers taking on the 5-time World Team Tennis champion, and that is Sacramento Capitals. Yes, World Team Tennis on OLN, presented by Advanta. Don't miss it. As the riders now descend right down to the basement here in the beautiful city of Spa. Well, there's plenty of old buildings here. They've seen it all before as they race into Spa now. 4:35 is the latest gap, 72 kilometers from the finish. At 61 kilometers from the finish, we top the next climb, Paul, Ono, and it is a 3rd category climb.
Very difficult climb. I think we'll see again a little bit of an explosion at the front. Maybe Jérôme Pinault will try and get himself some points. That's 11 kilometers from the center of Spa to the top of the Côte d'Onu. And then the riders have got a series of climbs coming up. They've got 2 4th category climbs after that, just small ones. But today I'd have to say this is the sort of course that the French would describe as a casse-patte, or a leg-breaking course. It certainly is very difficult. There's no respite at all today.
No, and you've got to pay attention. See the gaps in the peloton there as they descend here. They all want to see the little slice of highway, I think. But this is a beautiful wide boulevard down into Spa. Lots of space. The riders in no hurry. They know when they leave this city, they start to climb again back into the Ardennes, which is this beautiful range of forest that runs right across the valley here. 4:35, latest time check we have. And they've been in the saddle now for about 3 hours and 20 minutes. So another long day after that marathon ride yesterday. Approaching the sprint point here, but you see they're not interested in the sprint points now because the first 3 places have gone and all of the major time bonuses are gone. So what's the point in racing? We're just cruising right now.
Well, it's all a question of the energy levels as well. You've got to make sure you don't waste any energy, because at the end of the day, I remember Barry Hoban, who was a great British cyclist, won 8 stages of the Tour de France over the years. Barry said to me, if you make an effort in the Tour de France, it's got to be an effort that pays, and that's what it's all about.
I think that's the best advice you can ever receive as a young professional. Michael Rogers, the world time trial champion, just looking here at his stress problems. He's 68% of 100 possible, so he's quite relaxed out there. A mere 3 watts output. He's hardly trying today, and his heart is ticking over at 151 beats a minute. The result of the sprint, Voigt getting the 6 points and 6-second bonus over Arietta, and Laurent taking 2nd and 3rd. So that all seems pretty relaxed now. Interesting, Paul, there's a change of pattern at the front now, and it looks as though Hushoff's Crédit Agricole team have got themselves back in position.
They want to keep Thor Hushoff in the lead for as long as possible. It's a rather strange Tour de France this year because there's no team time trial, because very often the team time trial changes the hierarchy of the overall classification after 3 or 4 stages. But this year, without the team time trial being there, the sprinters can stay in the lead right the way to the first time trial.
Well, as we look down there, there's a shot of the CSC boys. I think that was Dave Zabiskie just went through under our camera. The Americans are having a very good race so far, and they're saving their energy right now, waiting for the mountains. There's the maillot jaune of Thor Hushoff. He's down there. But now for us, it's time for a look back as we check out yesterday's sprint finish and today's afterburner report. And this was a terrific sprint finish by Robbie McEwen here. He came again on the far right from nowhere and popped up and took the win. Hushoff was, in fact, rather annoyed at that flick there. He got a double hitch and left Hushoff wrestling for his foot on the ground. But really, I think that was more Hushoff's fault than Robbie McEwen. But anyway, that is our Saab Afterburner report. And there's a little bit more detail on Robbie McEwen for you. He's 33 years of age now. It doesn't slow him down, though. 9 stage wins in history in the Tour de France. He's opened his account this year as well. He weighs just 146 pounds. He really is a pocket dynamo. He's been a pro a long time, too, since 1996. Back to the action, or rather the inaction here, because we're at the back of the field. It looks as though we may have had another flat tyre because teammates are bringing back teammates. And that is very interesting. This looks like we've got the rider coming up here is Benoit Vonenart. He's all in white, but he's in the same team as the rider in front because he's wearing the white leaders jersey as the new best rookie of the Tour de France at the moment. And Vonenart is lying in 12th place overall, just 21 seconds off the overall lead. He had a wonderful first full day of road racing on Sunday, and he's been well deserving of that leading ride. And I think just sitting up there getting the water now, it looks as though Dave Zabriskie here has been sent back for a job of work. He's the other American rider who briefly wore yellow last year. Remember, he fell off in the team time trial, but his job today, get plenty of water down him and also back up to his teammates. Well, we'll take another break. The pace is going to get as hot as the weather in the next few kilometres. I'm sure of that as we get into the undulations of the Belgian Ardennes, which are the foothills to Netherlands. See you in a moment.
Every night, OLN brings you the Tour enhanced. See today's stage with commentary by Alan Bob, extra features and analysis, and more. The Tour de France Enhanced Prime, tonight at 8 p.m. Brought to you by LL Bean. OLN serves up the return of Pete Sampras in the network premiere of World Team Tennis. Sampras and the Breakers take on the 5-time champion Sacramento Capitals. World Team Tennis, July 16th at 11:30, only on OLN.
Blue skies are the norm in the mountains when summer comes, and I'm on the trails every chance I get. Maybe more important than the weather is the gear I use to maximize my experience. I choose LL Bean gear. These can be long days. Over 90 years of boot-making experience goes into LL Bean's Cresta hiking boots. Boots so comfortable, I know I'll wear out long before my feet do. Mountain weather can change without warning, and when it does, I'm ready with my Mountain Storm system. I can put on the rugged jacket for protection against the wind and rain, just a soft shell if the weather's cool, or both for a warm, dry jacket in the worst weather. For a full day of hiking, I load up my award-winning Bigelow pack, and I know I can cover a lot of terrain in total comfort and with everything I need within easy reach. Products designed for durability and performance, sold directly to the consumer at a great price. Check out llbean.com or call 800-441-4913 to get a free catalog or ask an expert about any of LL Bean's gear.
LL Bean is the official outfitter of OLN's Tour de France broadcast team.
The German word for safe is sicher. The Portuguese word for firewall is muro de fogo. The Chinese word for password is Mima. My company's in 17 countries now, and I can say secure in every one of them.
Dynamic networking from AT&T identifies security threats before they're problems, so Jane's confidence grows right alongside her company. The new AT&T, your world delivered.
Is the IRS stalking you? Do you feel like you're at the end of your rope? Stop the harassment now.
Hello. I'm John Harris, president of J.K. Harris & Company. The people who negotiate for our clients are former IRS agents and tax professionals. They've helped our clients save millions of dollars. They know how to make the system work for you.
Call the IRS experts at J.K. Harris now for your free confidential tax settlement analysis.
Call 800-875-8195.
Welcome back. The 5 boys are still there. Everybody enjoying party atmosphere out on the grass verge there. No chance for Jens Voigt. He's got to concentrate here on the task in hand. He's a professional bike rider, and this is the biggest race of the year, the Tour de France. We are only on day 4 and stage 3 on the road race courses, and we're just dipping on to 63 kilometers to go here. Jens Voigt, Jose Luis Arrieta, Unai Echeverria, Jerome Pinot and Christophe Laurent are the aggressors today. And they've had a lead of over 6 minutes, but it is coming down. But at the moment, Voigt is in fact the leader of the Tour de France on the road. He's well recuperated all of the time to try and claim the yellow jersey. Well, let's have a look at all of the leading jerseys of the various competitions now, which comes to us with the Lenovo jersey update. Here we are. Thor Hushoff reclaimed yellow yesterday. Robbie McEwen pulled on for the first time the green jersey this year. Benoit Vaurenard, he kept the white jersey, he's the best rookie. And David de la Fuente of Spain, he became the new leader of the polka dot. He's under threat, the polka dot, at the moment by the fine riding of Jérôme Pinault, who's still out in front. There's another spectacular ruin which abound in the area of the Ardennes. This was huge battlefields in the early days of the country's development, as well, of course, in the terrible world wars. So back into the trees again for the leaders. 5 minutes 10. The funny thing is, Paul, that they've slackened right off in the backfield now. They've actually allowed them to run again.
Yeah, nobody's really chasing it. It's one of those situations again where at the front end of the peloton, what they're doing is each team of the sprinters is sending a couple of riders up. They're setting a false tempo for a while, which is just causing the gap between the main field and the riders to actually just hover at that level of around about 5 minutes. But I think everybody's worried about the final few kilometers of this race, because we've got a whole host of climbs all put together. We've got this third category climb that the riders are on right now, but a little bit later on, the riders go into a situation where there are three fourth category climbs, and of course the final climb of the day is that third category climb, which takes them up to the summit of the Kauberg.
Yes, and we've swung away. See the flag? It's a crosswind now, much more difficult wind for the riders. Not so important just at the moment, I don't think, but it might be later on, as the 5 leaders now just climbing steady. Jérôme Pinault, who's heading up here at the moment, he will want these points because he's getting very close to becoming the King of the Mountains leader. And it'll be a great concern to David de la Fuente back in the main field too.
Well, these riders are actually pretty lucky that they're going over this climb, the Côte d'Honneur, because if they'd taken the other road out of this town here, there's a horrendous climb called the Monteux, which is like a brick wall in front of you, and you slowly bring yourself up to it, and the climb gets steeper and steeper and steeper, and at the top it's so steep, sometimes you feel as if you need to put the crampons on and as if you're going to pull your front wheel off the road.
Well, we've got 1.2 kilometers to climb up this climb at the moment. Arrieta there flicking his elbow. That's to call the next man through. Well, this guy's well dressed up for the hot weather. There's no chance of getting sunstroke there, I wouldn't think.
Well, he probably thinks he's going to have to sprint it out with Robbie McEwen.
Well, he must be very, very hot in that, as we all come through the square here of the town. This, in fact, will be the town of Honour itself, and the peloton are not that far away because they're also on the undulation. Interesting to note now that Thor Hushoff has sent all of his team back up here to do the pacemaking. He, being in the yellow jersey, is sitting just last man of those boys of his team in green and white. They're looking pretty tired up here, I think, just now, and that was Jose Luis Arrieta, who's a very good climber, number 32. But this climb is a lot steeper than you think, and these riders are toiling on these roads.
Yes,
sorry, Paul, yeah.
The race came over here a couple of years ago, in fact, when a man by the name of Miguel Indurain went out on the attack. The race finished on that occasion in Liège, but he got away with a man by the name of Johan Bruneel.
He did indeed, and Bruneel didn't work with him at all. Sat right behind him, but nipped round him and snatched the stage win. And Miguel wasn't too pleased with that, but on the other hand, King Albert was on the finishing line, the King of Belgium, and I think that was the draw.
I think that was 1995, and there was a young man who saw that that was the winning move, and he tried to get across to it. His name was Lance Armstrong, and he couldn't quite make it. He knew that was the move, but since then he went away from the sport. He's had a lot of drama around his life. He had testicular cancer, survived that, and then came back to win the Tour de France on 7 occasions. But his history with the Tour de France goes back much further than a lot of people think. It's a lot longer than just 7 years.
It certainly is. He never looked like a Tour winner until he came back after his cancer. Actually, he looked like just a stage winner. Well, back with this Tour de France, and the pace being set here at the moment by Jose Luis Arrieta. Seems to have moved up to the front now. I think it's him at the front.
They're all looking a little bit precarious now. I think there's going to be a bit of a sprint there. You see that the rider from Bouygues Telecom there is Jérôme Pinault. He's waiting, and right on his wheel is Echevarria. These are the 2 riders that got first and second in the last King of the Mountains points.
these competitions are separated by single points.
Pino needs this. He wants these points. I'm not too sure, Paul. I'll have to tell you, I think this will be enough to give him the lead in the King of the Mountains, or he might just need a couple more in the next department. But there's nobody tried. I mean, Unai Echeverria did try, but he hasn't got it. He now needs to win the next one and get the 3 points on the 4th category climb, and that will be putting him equal with Fuente. So he's got those, and that's another win for Jerome Pino. Well, that was a very good move there by Pino. He just needs to stay away really for another 40 kilometers, take 2 more climbs, then he will be fine. There's the big crowd here on the climb of the Côte d'Honneur. There's still plenty more climbs to come today. See you in a moment.
Come today. Bring your ideas, your skills. Let's do something different, something special. Let's build cleaner cars, better hospitals, smarter stores. Let's tap into a million-person mind and let everyone fill their cup. IBM, innovation for collaboration.
Ditech.com can save you thousands of dollars in closing costs.
With our previous refinances, we ended up paying a lot in closing costs. This time, we went to Ditech, and it was only $395.
Log on or call 1-800-71-FIXED.
The wheel goes round and round, we keep it moving, and it don't slow down. The wheel goes round and round, we keep it moving. Round and round. The wheel goes round and round, keep it moving. Oh yeah. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. The wheel goes round and round, round and round, goes round and round.
The NHRA Mile High Nationals are coming to Vandermeer Speedway July 13th through the 16th. And your local Dodge dealers want to know if you're ready to race. Race to win a 2-year lease on a new Dodge Charger SE. Get your Chrysler, Dodge, or Jeep serviced at a participating dealership and get a 2-for-1 ticket voucher to the Mopar Mile High Nationals on July 15th. Register to race at the Mopar Mile High Nationals and win a 2-year lease on a Dodge. Go to racehemi.com to register now.
I don't see this as being that tough.
I'm not saying this is easy, but figuring out something that we haven't done or just never been done before.
For like the last 5 years I wanted to do this and everybody told me I couldn't.
Follow your folly. Ours is beer. New Belgium, wind-powered and employee-owned, makers of Fat Tire Amber Ale.
Welcome back. The Tour de France in Belgium at the moment and racing to the Netherlands for the big finish on the Kouberg in Valkenburg itself. And the peloton still trying to work out what to do about a breakaway of 5 riders that started to make progress again over the field itself. But I think that will all change now. It's very noticeable that the Crédit Agricole team have come up to the front almost en masse. Just off the front of the peloton in the centre, you can see the yellow jersey of Thor Hushovd. He's feeling pretty good today, I think, and he's going to try and maintain some of his lead. He only has a 5-second overall lead, remember, over the world champion, Tom Bonen. But I think Bonen will have a much harder job on the climb of the Kouberg than Hushovd will. And goodness knows what Robin McEwen will do. He's in 3rd place. A win today for him would see him in the yellow jersey. I'm pretty sure of that. This is life now at the back of the peloton. Many riders preoccupied with water and drinks. Number 172 is Walter Benito. Remember, he was our hero in a long breakaway 2 days ago. And number 66 is Freddie Rodriguez, who's the lead out man for Robin McEwen. He's an American. And Fast Freddie is in the mood now to lead out Robbie again. He did a great job for him yesterday. And just look at that fine piece of artwork down there. That's a crayfish on a bicycle, because this is the capital of the crayfish. Anyway, enough history. Let's go and find out how Floyd Landis is thinking. Floyd, sorry everybody.
Well, you know the Coburg climb, I believe, since you've done the Amstel Gold Race before. Your objectives today, I mean, do you think be able to put in a good attack and try to gain some time on possibly some guys who might be affected by the heat?
For me, I don't know that's wise. There's a couple guys who probably will try because it's a good opportunity to get the jersey. I think if George rides smart and he doesn't have to attack, he can probably get the jersey back. Valverde might try because he can sprint. It's going to be a difficult day for the sprinters to control and even to be there at the finish for a sprint. So for me, I'll be conservative and try to stay with the leaders at the front and just stay out of trouble. I don't think it's the course for me to try to get the lead. Thanks. Yeah, no problem. See you guys.
Boy, well, Floyd Landis there doing exactly what he predicted. He's right at the front of this race, but is he just keeping out of trouble, or is he just making sure that if any of these big names that he talked about make a move, he's not in a great position to go with them? Because I think he must be paying great attention today. You never know. You could lose time on a day like this when you're least expecting it. Well, we're looking at the peloton again, and the wind gently coming over from the left now. They've been 3 hours and 40 minutes in the saddle now, and the gap is at 5 minutes more or less exactly. The polka dot leader's jersey is there. It's being threatened again. That's the man that broke away, David de la Fuente. And at the moment, he knows that 2 more hills, if those riders stay clear up front, then he will be out of the race lead in that competition. It will be in the favour of Jérôme Pinot.
See 1 or 2 other riders moving to the front here from Euskadi, and just over to the right-hand side is a man who a couple of years ago was tipped as a man who could dethrone Lance Armstrong, and he seems to be riding a lot better this year. That's Iban Mayo in the orange jersey, and he's looking very comfortable on these stages.
Another rider very close to Mayo was Valverde, Paul, and Floyd Landis says that he could be a man to win the stage today.
Well, I tell you, this is the kind of stage that Alejandro Valverde would seriously like. He won the Liège-Bastogne-Liège race early in this year, just having taken the Flèche Wallonne single-day classic a couple of days earlier. You tend to forget about Alejandro Valverde because he's riding the white jersey as the leader of the Pro Tour, not his normal black jersey as the member of the team Caisse d'Epargne L'Île Baleares.
That's right, and you tend to overlook him because his colours are completely different. A pure white leader's jersey of the Pro Tour against the black and red of his normal jersey. We saw the gendarme there from France. There's no day off for the French police, even though they haven't done any work on French soil today. Luxembourg leading to Belgium, leading to the Netherlands, but they work just the same. They're coming together, the Tour de France, as it races this year. It touches 6 other nations in total. 5 minutes, 3 seconds the gap. The green jersey of Robbie McEwen we've seen, which is unusual. He's in the pack there, and the yellow jersey, of course, of Thor Hushovd, as they continue to course through.
Christophe Moreau in the blue jersey just over to the left-hand side of the Crédit Agricole rider. He also has been very consistently placed at the front end of the main field, and he may be wanting to say something to Roger Leger, who didn't renew his contract at the end of last season to keep him on board with Crédit Agricole. So we moved to what was originally regarded as a slightly smaller team, AG2R, and this year he's probably looking to try and see whether he can finish himself off as the best Frenchman.
Well, plenty of drinks being taken on. I think what is happening here is that the guys who see themselves as likely winners of this tour in Paris are making sure they're getting up to the front, so they've got a close eye on everybody, because you can get a breakaway here. And I think that's what is going on at the moment, because we've seen Gerolsteiner pulling a few riders up on the left of our picture too at that moment. All right, well, here's more information for you. Now it's time for the 10-2 moment, which is brought to you by Nike. And we're looking at stage 9 of the 2003 Tour de France, where he leads with Yoshiba Bolocki, and that was a terrible crash. I think everybody nearly jumped out of the seats watching television, because Lance went across country. And was wondering whether the referees at the time would disqualify him for cutting the course short, but he remounted when the leaders came round. He got back into the action, and poor old Yoshiba Bolocki was seriously injured and out of the sport for more than a year. Well, for more great stories, go to wearyellow.com. That's our 10-2 Nike moment. Back with the leaders now of today's stage of the Tour. Very interesting here. It's almost a silent war forming at the back of the race, because big names are now being brought to the front by their team helpers. So, oh, there's been a crash here. There's been a crash on the van. There's a Rabobank nasty crash. Don't know at all what's happened, but we've got 2 riders down there. One of the riders we can definitely see is Freddie Rodriguez. That's very, very sad indeed. Well, Paul, that's Fred Rodriguez behind the Rabobank car, the American rider, but I'm not sure who the Rabobank rider was. Did you spot him?
I didn't see who it was, but they both went down very hard. That's the dangerous thing about these stages, Phil. You've got to be alert all of the time. And the crashes that happen when you're going slowly are so much more worse than the crashes that happen when you're going fast. Because when you're going fast, you slide. When you go down slowly like that, you go down pretty hard.
Well, you see, they've hit the corner of the paving stone there, and that's what not making it very pleasant. The chances of a broken collarbone there. And that is the race doctor trying to get a look there. Gerard Port's on the far side, the other doctor. They're trying to look here, I think, at poor Fred Rodriguez's right collarbone. Well, let's hope that this isn't what it might look at. I don't know who the Rabobank rider is.
Well, that'll be tough for Robbie McEwen if it is Fred Rodriguez going out, because he has been such an ally to Robbie McEwen. But the problem is they did go down very hard indeed, and I still didn't get a chance to identify who the Rabobank rider was. But these are those nasty accidents that happen all the way along the Tour de France. You can never know when it's going to happen. It can be around any corner. You have to be alert, and that's why the big leaders try to take the front.
Paul, they're saying it is Eric Decker. Now, that is really sad. Eric was a fancied rider to win today. He's won in this position, finishing line before in the Amstel Gold.
Well, that would be really tough if it is Eric Decker, because he was saying that this was going to be his last season as a professional cyclist. He's had an awful lot of bad luck over the years. He broke his leg a couple of years ago in the Milan-San Remo race. It took him almost 2 years to get back to the top. And it looks as if that may well be Eric Decker. And that will be a severe blow for the Dutch people waiting at the bottom of this climb to see a Dutchman win the stage.
And goodness knows how it happens, but obviously on a clear straight road like that, a touch of wheels is the most likely cause. These are the 5 leaders now on today's stage of the Tour de France, and they're just making steady progress, hanging on to the lead, which is pretty regular just now, around about 5 minutes. Nobody really chasing them down, as the hills will start to sap the strength from their legs, especially as the sun winds on towards the height of the day. The forecasters said that the hottest part of the day will be at 4 o'clock today. Well, it's 4 minutes to 4, and we're looking at huge temperatures. If you're talking Fahrenheit, it's 99 degrees reflected off the road. It's 122 degrees today. That's what they're saying. And I don't know what 122 degrees is in Celsius.
Hot.
But certainly it's looking like 33, 34 degrees in centigrade at the moment as well. 52 kilometers now in Dijon. And we've left behind, lying on the road, 2 big names of the Tour de France, the American Fred Rodriguez, and he's still on the road according to the information reaching us, and also Eric Decker, who has actually cut his face rather badly, we are hearing. So this is all very sad. So there's the peloton driving on, 2 riders short at the moment. Well, I must say that let's hope Fred rejoins the race, but we'll keep you up to date with that when we can, of course, as the race itself now is all of the Crédit Agricole keeping their man Thor Hushovd out of trouble at the head of the race. We'll update you on the crash when we come back.
The 2006 Tour de France on OLN is brought to you by Michelob Ultra, live life to the ultra, and by American Century Investments, mutual funds and institutional money management for more than 45 years.
Your life doesn't have one dimension. Neither should your beer. The rewarding taste of Michelob Ultra. Perfectly balanced and made for today. Live life to the ultra.
When we set out to build an entirely new type of motorcycle, we looked everywhere for inspiration, except to convention. The 113 cubic inch fuel-injected Star Roadliner. We build it, you make it your own. Test drive one today at participating Yamaha dealers. Now get a 5-year warranty plus low 5.9% financing on any Roadliner or Stratoliner.
sky is perfect blue. No cloud could spoil the view. From above, that shows that we're in love.
Welcome back, just as we're approaching the top of the next climb of the day, the third climb, fourth category, a Côte de Petit Richard. And if the man who's on the front at the moment wins it, he goes equal first in the overall leaderboard for the King of the Mountains, and he does. That's Jérôme Pinault, who has taken the points. Now, Pinault will be celebrating if he gets some points on the last climb. Well, not the last climb, but the next climb, because he will be the leader of the King of the Mountains. Now, let me tell you straight away, it is rather sad news, because both riders who crashed have abandoned the Tour de France, and both riders, that's Freddy Rodriguez, the American rider, and Eric Decker, the Dutchman, have been taken to hospital by ambulance. So they are out of the Tour de France. Very, very sad indeed. It seems an innocuous place to have crashed. It was a straight road. It was very wide. There must have been some sort of a touch of wheels or a glance off the paving at the right of the riders there. That's really very sad indeed. As the breakaway continues now, it's just come down very slightly, 4 minutes of 57 seconds the gap now. And remember, the 5 riders still pretty strong, and Jérôme Pinault could get his first ever race leader's jersey in a Tour de France if he keeps this up, and he's ridden the Tour de France. This will be his 5th time. So, as the peloton carries on, let me remind you once again, don't forget to log on to olntv.com and fly to the finish every day during the Tour for your chance to win a Saab and other great prizes. Now, here's a look at today's code word, USA. There we are. And there's the peloton labouring away here now as they continue to try and close down that gap. Obviously, a lot of nervous riders there today.
50.
Well, it's very sad news, Paul, about Rodriguez and Decker, I must say, and the field now reduced to 173 riders. Michael Bogart there. He's got Rabobank on his new national jersey of Holland, because he won the championship just before this race started. We believe that Eric Decker has broken his collarbone. Freddy Rodriguez, we're waiting for confirmation. He could well have done the same on the fall there as well. But these riders now picking up a much higher tempo here. Rabobank and the same team as Decker is Bogart. Bogart is the man for this course, because the race finishing on top of the Cowberg, I think he's won once, he's finished 4th 4 times, and 2nd, 3rd 2 times. Is that right?
No, he's finished 2nd 4 times, and he's finished 3rd twice, and he's very consistent when it comes down to this.
And he's won once.
Yeah, and he's won once ahead of a man by the name of Lance Armstrong.
That's right.
And Lance was not very happy about that. It was a very close sprint, but Bogart actually sat on Lance Armstrong for the last 30 kilometers or so and refused to cooperate in the success of the breakaway. And I think that accident that's happened there to Eric Decker will force the riders from Rabobank to try and get the stage victory this afternoon. This is big Maggie Backstead. Maggie's not riding very well at all. Every time the race has gone slightly uphill, he's found himself in difficulty and found himself getting left behind.
Well,
little professional foul.
Yeah. Well, today is so hot. They've got to keep alert. It's a dangerous course in many ways, a big field packed together like this. And that's why the stars have tried to get up and near the front here, especially riders like Floyd Landis, Levi Leipheimer, anybody who fancies their chances later on in the Tour. I haven't seen anything of George Hincapie, I must say, in this lead group.
I think Hincapie's going to take a back seat for a couple of days. He snatched the yellow jersey the other day off the shoulders of Thor Hushoff when he sprinted out of the pack to get himself that 2-second time bonus, because he saw a perfect opportunity. But Hincapie, I think, is looking a lot further down the road. He doesn't want to waste all of his energy in the first week of the Tour, because he knows that you can waste an awful lot of nervous energy in a race like the Tour de France, and especially in the early stages. So I think what he's probably thinking about is more long-term.
I'll just give a little bit more information of riders' heartbeats down there in the peloton. Sebastian Lang appears to be beating at 156 beats per minute, approaching maximum today, so it's probably the heat causing that, I would think. as I might be a little bit nervous causing a reaction too because of the hills which are to come before the finish.
Well, when you see the heart rates of riders starting to move up to the 150, 160 level, that means that the pressure is starting to creep into the main field. They're starting to organize the chase at the front end of the peloton, and they want to reel in that breakaway. And you can see the reflection there, because the gap now is down to 4 minutes and 20 seconds, while another man who's had a bit of success out of this tour is also suffering at the back, Jimmy Casper.
Yes, you're absolutely right, and that's Casper here trying to get back in. Remember, he was in trouble yesterday, and it looks as though the glory of winning a stage has been forgotten in the last 48 hours, because he's certainly in trouble again. All right, well, don't forget, go to our website, that's olntv.com, for all of the updates on the Tour de France, and you'll get all of the minute expert analysis, including stories from Bob Roll, Paul Sherwen, and myself, of course, and we'll recap and the race routes. Track contenders, leaderboard, it's all there. It's olntv.com. That's your link to the cyclism, the Tour de France. So we look at the 5 leaders. Sadly, the first American is out of the Tour de France. It is Fred Rodriguez with a silly little crash, it appeared, but it was a shunt, and poor old Fred went down with a bang, and he's on his way to hospital along with Eric Decker. These 5 riders still hanging on to a lead of just on 5 minutes over the field. Huge crowds here, and there's going to be huge crowds all of the way. But will they get caught? Well, I believe they will. 4:20 is the current gap. As they continue now, the peloton, though, know that the next 2 hills are a little bit steeper than the ones we've seen. So they're going to have to try and close down, because Tom Bonen, the big sprinter, could still win this stage atop the Cowberg, which is still a little way away. We'll take another break. Rejoin us shortly.
George Hincapie spent 7 years protecting, 7 years taking the wind, 7 years helping Lance win 7, 7 years preparing for year 8. The cyclism, the men who would be king, Tour de France, continues tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. live, only on OLN. OLNTV.com is on tour with exclusive video, photos, bios, race route, stage summaries, and forecasts. OLNTV.com, your link to the Tour de France.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on. Introducing the all-new Saab 97X. Once you've built jets, you don't build just another SUV. Saab, born from jets. And now with the Saab 72-hour sales event, get 0% financing for 60 months. Take off in a new Saab today.
Before you break out the barbecue and set off the fireworks, go to Lowe's for great values that'll fire up the fun. Right now, receive free propane exchange and free assembly when you buy any full-size gas grill over $99. Get $5 off 1 gallon or $20 off 5 gallons of American Tradition paint. Quickcrete fast-setting concrete is 15% off. Use your Lowe's card and pay nothing for 12 months on any purchase of $299 or more now through July 9th. Hurry into Lowe's and fire up the fun this 4th of July. Lowe's, let's build something together.
What can be better than watching all the incredible goals, great stars, and excitement of an MLS match? Watching well over 100 MLS matches this season. The only way to do that is by signing up now for MLS Direct Kick. For only $69, you can catch all the live action and drama the entire MLS season has to offer. Show your passion for the sport you love.
Maybe it's time to upgrade. Upgrade to Comcast Digital Cable with HBO and Stars for $49.99 a month for 3 months. More channels, more movies, more music. Just call 1-800-COMCAST today. Comcast Digital Cable. It's Comcastic.
Welcome back, looking down on the compact peloton of the Tour de France as we inch our way closer to the Netherlands, and that is where the riders, when they get there, will contest the finish today. 44 kilometres, about 27 miles still to go to the finish here. The gap is coming down now, 3:51, as they start to make their way towards the finish in Netherlands. Well, if they do close this down, then the one man who might become the favourite will be one of the crowd favourites, and that's Tom Bonen. That's our athlete profile of the day today, and Bonen wants to fight his way back in. Here's Paul Sherwen to tell us more about him, and this brought to you by Hampton Inns.
Bowen is in the perfect position here to take this one. Now he digs in, the quick step rider, desperate finish. Tom Bonen, the world champion. Now he's gone for the inside. Tom Bonen gets his first victory in the Tour de France. Tom Bonen is an absolute powerhouse.
Bonen, well, you know, the guy could win the Tour in 5 years. You never know with him and the progression he's made.
At just 25 years of age, Tom Bonen is not only one of the youngest sprinters in the peloton, he's also one of the most accomplished. A world champion, Belgian Sportsman of the Year, and a favourite amongst the fans. This rising star is known for dominating the sprints and has just recently earned himself the nickname the Tornado. Sweeping up a whopping 17 wins this season alone, Bonen has proved he's a force to be reckoned with.
Here comes Tom Bonen now in the centre. As they come up to the line, it's Bonen and McEwen, and Tom gets it. What a finish.
Winning 4 stages at the Tour de France is a feat some riders can only dream about. But with this already under his belt, Bonen is hungry for more. There's also the little matter of the green jersey, which Bonen lost last year after suffering an injury after a fall and abandoning the race on stage 11. But after getting a taste as sprint leader for 9 days, Bonen is back and more than ever ready to go head-to-head with the competition. Backed by an unstoppable lead-out pack, Team Quickstep is ready to support Bonen and escort him to the finish line as the victor.
Yes, today's athlete profile brought to you by Hampton Inns. What a powerhouse Tom Bonen is. He's made a bit of a mess of things so far, but he'll get it right very shortly. And it might be today, you know, 17 wins this year as he rides the season as the world cycling champion. And that was himself has put him into the fable stories as being as good as the Belgian Eddy Merckx. So last Belgium have a big star on their box. And that's where we are today in Belgium. The gap is 3 minutes and 33 seconds on this group of 5 riders now. Steadily coming down the gap as the riders now into the last 42 kilometres of the day. And desperate to hang on for a bit longer is the Jérôme Pinot in this breakaway, because he knows just another point. There he is, another point, and he'll get his first ever leader's jersey in any of the Tour de France. He's ridden, and he's ridden quite a few. In fact, this is his 5th Tour.
Experienced rider on an experienced team. This team has known different names over the years. It started off as a Vendée U, then it became the Brioche La Boulangère, was the Bonjour team as well, and now over the last couple of seasons it's been Borg Telecom. It's been looked after by Jean-René Bernardeau himself, a former yellow jersey in the Tour de France and a stage winner in the Giro d'Italia over the massive Stelvio Pass when he went on a long breakaway with Bernard Hinault, who went on to win the Giro on that occasion.
So the leaders now trying the traditional long run for the finish. Now I think if they've got any chance, they've got more chance today than on yesterday. They go into the 1 kilometre. This is the last time bonus sprint of the day. Now Voigt has been picking these up. I wonder if he'll go for this one as well. This takes us into the 37 kilometres from the finish at Aubel.
Well, if Jens Voigt goes for this one, that will have given him 18 seconds on the day, and that will put him 18 seconds down in the overall classification, and that will be a top 10 position at the end of the day if he stays in contact with the main field, because I'm beginning to feel that these riders are going to get caught before the end.
Well, the faces are telling a story. The Agri-Turbo rider here, Christophe Laurent, that got a wild card into the Tour de France. It helps if you're a French team, of course, and they're the only non-Pro Tour team in the race this year. There's the sprint line. Now watch for the rider in black. He's a bit boxed in at the moment at 500 metres to go. He's going to have to pull back and swing over to the left. I think that's what he's about to do. He's lining up on the back wheel of Arrieta. And watch out here, because that's Christophe Laurent who's trying to edge up, but it looks as though they're not going to challenge this one. This is Voigt as he comes up, not really sprinting for this. Voigt has gone up over the top and looks like going to get the 600. He's keeping one eye to his left just in case, but it looks as though they've decided not to even contest this sprint, although there's still a little way to go. Oh, and here we get the run now. Arrieta going for it.
Well, Arrieta's come out of the saddle, but look at Jens Voigt right onto his wheel.
Voigt is straight after him, and he's gone onto him quite easily there. So he gets second place. Arrieta gets the sprint win this time, and it is Laurent gets third place.
Well, that'll actually just put Jens Voigt at 20 seconds down in the overall classification. That's the same position as Paolo Salvadelli at the start of the day. But Jens, he's a crafty bike rider. He didn't want to upset too many people. There's confirmation that Arrieta ahead of Voigt, and Christophe Laurent getting himself third place with 40 kilometers to go. But probably more importantly, we will be, well, certainly Jérôme Pinault will be thinking about the next climb of the day, but he's got quite a long way before they get there. That's 189 kilometers covered when they get to the summit of the Côte de l'Orberg.
Well, Obel very shortly will be crossing into the Netherlands, so as we say goodbye to the Pays d'Obel. Just a matter of a kilometre or so, we should see the borders of the Netherlands. As the riders now continue on the way, the gap is continuing to come down. The Tour de France continues, sadly, without Freddy Rodriguez, who's crashed and is out of the Tour de France. We'll take a break.
Ingeniously designed to help protect the things that need protecting. Energy-absorbing ACE body structure, standard on the all-new Civic. Only from Honda.
Here's to men, to guys who want to take longer drives with fewer pit stops, to guys who want to spend less time in the men's room and more time fishing. And here's to Flomax. It's approved to treat male urinary symptoms due to BPH, also called an enlarged prostate. In 1 week, Flomax may help symptoms like going often, going urgently, weak stream, frequently waking up at night to go. For you, Flomax could make a difference in 1 week. Ask your doctor if symptoms are from BPH, not prostate cancer. Common side effects of Flomax are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Upon standing, a sudden decrease in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. So when starting Flomax, avoid situations where injury could result. For more information, call 877-4-FLOMAX. Ask your doctor about Flomax. Flomax could make a difference in 1 week.
OLN serves up the return of Pete Sampras in the network premiere of World Team Tennis, a unique and exciting format featuring the best players in the world, head-to-head, team-to-team, and leading up to exclusive coverage of the championship match in August.
It's World Team Tennis on OLN.
July 16th, Pete Sampras and the Newport Beach Breakers take on the 5-time WTT champs, Sacramento Capitals. World Team Tennis, presented by Advanta, July 16th at 11:30, only on OLN.
The thing is, everyone wants to save money on their car insurance. You asking if they want a free Geico quote's like asking if they want free pie and chips. Of course they want free pie and chips. It's pie with chips for free. But pie and chips, you can get them anywhere. Geico quotes, made from scratch, just for you. Only at geico.com.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Somewhere between getting the free camera, the free CDs, the free dinner, and the free plane tickets. Somewhere between saying goodbye and coming home, you'll get trip rewards for staying at Super 8. See you along the way. Get more rewards with Trip Rewards at Super 8.
Drive to rewards at Super 8 and you can win a hot Chevy Uplander. For details, visit super8.com.
Yes, we're back with the Tour de France beneath a hot broiling sun today in Europe, and someone has just slipped off the front of this breakaway, and by my reckoning it's got to be Christophe Laurent of the Agri Turbo squad. Now he's gone approximately 10 kilometers before the next climb. Of course there's plenty of undulations, but this looks like a move now to try and break up the lead group. Just a moment ago, Jens Voigt tried this, and he was brought back, and immediately Laurent has gone. 3 minutes 11 seconds, the latest time check we've got. And as I say, we're 9.5 kilometers now from the top of the next climb, which is the Côte de Luxembourg, which is followed then by 2 more climbs, including the climb which will take us up to the finish. Now, the finish line, by the way, is not on top of the Cowberg. It's 2 kilometers over the top. Long straight road, but it's a false flat. And if you can get away on the climb, you might hang on to the finish and foil the sprinters. Well, this is a very brave move by Christophe Laurent, riding his 2nd Tour de France, and he's never won a race. As they now decide what to do about him, well, as they get on with their job in hand, let's go back to the start this morning, and we'll find Craig Hummers down there as he talks to the man who was the leader of the Tour for a day, and that, of course, is our old friend on Discovery, George Hincapie.
George, there was a crash yesterday, obviously inside that 2K banner. How quickly does that bring back the memories and the feelings that on every stage in this first week, anything can happen?
Yeah, there's always a lot of stress in the first week of the Tour and the finales. It's just important to stay up front and stay out of those crashes.
You talked about it last evening, but today is an interesting stage. You know these roads pretty well. How attentive do you have to be on the route today?
Yeah, we're going to be pretty attentive, especially at the end. The final is pretty hard, so it's important not to lose any time and just stay up front with the leaders.
You've made no secret about how you'd love to have that yellow jersey back on your shoulders. What would your perfect race be today?
Today, hopefully the sprinters would get dropped, but I don't know. The climb is not really long enough, and those guys have a lot of power to get over that sort of stuff. So we'll see. Maybe I'll be lucky.
All right, good luck.
All right, thanks.
Indeed, maybe you will be lucky, but he'll be paying attention, that's for sure here. Bit of a tight squeeze there for Christian van der Velde. We've just seen go through the team cars while we were watching that interview. But he is through, and obviously coming back after a slight problem in the bunch. A lot of riders behind the race now as the heat and the hills start to bite back. Well, that was a tight squeeze there, wasn't it, Paul, Christian?
It really was, and it just goes to show how good these bike riders are at handling their machines. You've got to be alert all of the time when you're going up through the field, when you're going up through the convoy of cars. But I'm a little bit surprised here at Pippo Pozzato, who doesn't seem to be having a very good tour. You know, his heart rate is pushing up to almost the 160 beats a minute. And this is not a good sign for Tom Boonen, because he's supposed to be one of the lead-out men for Tom, and he's a long way down in the overall standings.
He is. He's third from the back of the race here, and so too is Wilfried Kretschkins, another rider on Quickstep who seems to be not settling in at all yet to the Tour de France on these opening very nervous days. And talking of that, we've got David Moncoutier. Now, we must assume he's had a mechanical, because he wouldn't normally be behind, would he?
Well, no, he rides at the back of the group all the time. He's one of those riders who's either last man in the group or at the front. But he was saying, and he has a column in one of the French newspapers, that he's got a little problem with one leg, and he doesn't feel as if that leg is generating the same amount of energy as the other leg. It could be a problem, maybe a chiropractic, osteopathic problem, where his hip is not completely aligned and he's not able to generate equal energy from both legs.
Well, it is a problem that quite a few cyclists have had over the years. It can be sorted, but it does take time off the bike to get sorted. So maybe you should have it look after the Tour de France.
Well,
let's hope he gets through. He was a stage winner of the Tour de France.
Well, the Tour de France is not the best place to come for a health retreat.
No, it is not very. They've been through Spa, though, which would have been rather nice when to stop on.
They didn't get a chance to sample the water, did they?
Indeed not. 3 minutes 3 seconds, the latest time check we have. And we've got back to, oh no, we still, yes, they're all 5 back together there. Although I didn't see the catch, or we missed the catch, but Christophe Laurent is back in that group. There's still, of course, 2 climbs to come, which are category 4, and then the Cowberg climb up to the finish is a category 3, so it's quite steep. A huge crowd, of course, will breakaway of 5 has tried, tested the strength of each other, and now have decided they're all pretty equal, so they've rejoined here just at the minute. Huge crowds as we race through Belgium here. Well, a little bit of a standstill by the cameras there. These cameras, if they sense they're losing the picture, which we are sending you live, of course, they go into an automatic freeze, so we get something and then they release as soon as the pictures come back. So there we are, 2:51. We're closing in now on these leaders at the front. And it won't be long, I think, before we don't have them back in the fold. Remember, this isn't the only finale taking part on OLN. On Sunday is the finale of the IPT King of the Hill 8-ball shootout. Who will be crowned the undisputed king of the pool? Yeah, it'll be the richest payday in the history of the sport. As the IPT King of the Hill 8-ball shootout series finale, Sunday at 6 p.m. Only, of course, here on OLN. Not a bad game, pool, you know. Looking at 5 riders down there, and these 5 men, again, the early morning breakaways we often refer it to. Well, today they have been in the oven. It has been so hot out there today, and they have made it the hard way. The yellow sunglasses there on the eyes of Jens Voigt, who's shouting for more action, more pace. 99 degrees Fahrenheit with a reflected temperature of 122. You'd be forgiven if you thought you were racing through Africa in these temperatures, I'll tell you. And these boys, in fairness, they make their own wind around there, and it does help to keep them a little bit cooler, but the spectators will roast. There's no way out of it there, I'm afraid. And the gap is now 2:51. Once it gets down towards 2 minutes, I think the impetus will go out. Jerome Pinot, desperate to make the next climb. Just 1 point's all he wants. We'll take a break.
Real shooters, real rules, real cash. The world's greatest players, Hall of Famers and hustlers battle it out for the richest payday in the history of the sport. Over $1 million in prize money. But to rack up that kind of cash, they better bring their 8 game.
Come on, you country redneck.
It's the IPT King of the Hill 8-ball shootout 2-hour season finale. Sunday at 6 Eastern, only on OLN.
It's showtime.
LL Bean gear. If it lives up to our test, you can be sure it will live up to yours. For a free catalog of everything you need for fall, call us or shop now at llbean.com.
Come and save at Circuit City's Red, White, and Blue sale. This Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, get no interest till 2008 on all purchases $299 and up. Plus, all digital cameras, camcorders, and home audio are on sale. And get up to 10% off TVs at Circuit City.
Do you have an adjustable rate mortgage? How much has your monthly payment gone up? Do you have credit card debt? Get a new low fixed rate home loan with one low monthly payment, even if you have a credit problem. Log on or call 1-800-71-FIXED.
Wish shaving didn't take so long? Well, now it doesn't have to. Introducing the Beard Reaper 8000.
Oh my, looks sharp.
It is razor sharp.
Oh my.
There are smarter ways to save time. Sign up for Comcast high-speed internet for just $29.99 a month for 6 months. At ridiculously quick speeds, it's way faster than DSL and dial-up. Sign up today and get professional installation. Just call 1-800-COMCAST. Comcast high-speed internet. It's Comcastic.
Saturday, July 15th on Oxygen. Monique is back with the biggest beauty revolution ever. If you want to live large, enter Monique's Fat Chance Sweepstakes.
Log on to oxygen.com for your chance and win big.
The lucky grand prize winner and a guest will fly to L.A., experience a one-of-a-kind beauty boot camp, and have dinner with Monique.
Watch Monique's Fat Chance on Comcast.
Call today to get the $49.99 a month for 3 months.
Welcome back, everybody taking it easy, reading the Algemeen Dagblad as we are now in Dutch Road. This is the Valkenburg itself, the approach to the Cowberg. Everybody getting ready for the Tour de France, which is now racing over Dutch soil. And look at the crowds here. They welcome the Tour in their thousands. They always have. They love the Tour de France in Holland, believe me. They've had a lot of success in it over the years. And the gap is coming down to these 5 leaders now at 2 minutes 20. With 29 kilometers to go. In theory, they would normally be caught. I'm going to hesitate a little bit because you can never know what Jens Voigt will do. And he might look for the chance to go alone. I don't think there's any hope of them all staying away, but I wouldn't say they'll all get caught. Well, we'll see. 2:14 is coming down a bit quickly now. Christophe Laurent setting the pace. Jerome Pinot here. He wants the next climb, and it's not far away now. Just a single point. Any place in the top 3 will do. Only the first 3 riders get points. A counter-attack and it's coming from the main field now, and this looks like a start of a move by Rabobank. And with him in the same colours, different colours, but the same team of Rabobank, that red jersey of Michael Bogart. They are looking for a move. The Dutchman, and I think it's Peter winning here, the Dutchmen are firing now because they're on home soil at last. Home soil, not surprisingly. We've got 2 Dutchmen here on the attack, and one is the national champion.
Well, they're looking for the move here this afternoon. I think they want to get a little bit of revenge for the fact that one of the men who was their leader for the day here this afternoon, Eric Deckers, had to withdraw from the Tour de France after that nasty crash. We believe he's got a broken collarbone, but look at the difference. These riders now, Phil, are on the slopes of the Côte de Lourberg, and watch out for the man in the pale blue shorts in 3rd position there. He needs a single point to take over the lead in the King of the Mountains classification.
Which means he must be in the first 3 because there's nothing for 2 riders on this climb. And they're steep. They're only short, but they are steep, these climbs. Now, this one, for example, is just about a mile, 1.3 kilometres, and it will take us up to a height above sea level of only 216 metres, but it is still a very steep gradient. And the riders are now looking to this. There is Pinot. They know what he needs. They might not even challenge him. They might say, OK, you've done your work. You can have the lead now because we can't get it. On the other hand, they might go for the points.
Well, watch out for the man in the orange jersey of Euskaltel, because he had points at the start of the day. He's been placed on a couple of occasions. But if you look at the way these riders are starting to ride, you can see and almost feel the fatigue that's beginning to creep into them. And the time gap they have over the main field, and it's Arrieta who's going to try and spoil the party for the French here, because he's gone down the left-hand side of the road.
So here he goes, and this for the polka dot jersey tonight at the finishing line. As now Jerome Pinot is won, about to win. No, he gets second. Oh, he better move then because they're coming at him, and Vojtic's coming at him. It's almost if they stop racing, and now he goes again. So he's made a real sprint of this. He's a little bit shocked when he came around the corner. He never saw a banner, and now he's got to make he could have made a mess of it. He's such a long way to the line.
Well, he had to respond to Arrieta's first move there, but this is the strange thing when you come to these short 4th category climbs, because sometimes you can get caught out, and if you don't make the effort in the right place, he could end up in 3rd place, 4th place, and he doesn't want that to happen. He knows, Phil, he's got to finish top 3.
Well, the one rider, Unai Echeverria, is hanging on at the back of this now, but at last he's done it. Thank heavens for that, he says. So we have a new leader in the King of the Mountains competition, and after 4 Tours de France, he's finished all 4 previously, rather, Jerome Pinot. Now in his 5th tour, he gets his hands on a leader's jersey. Meanwhile, life at the back here for Jimmy Casper, the winner on Sunday, continues not to be good.
Well, talk about from the front to the back, he certainly is having a very hard time in the hills in the Tour de France, and it's not really surprising to see 1 or 2 riders from Crédit Agricole slipping back either. That's Anthony Charteau, but he will have done a lot of work at the front of the peloton over the last few kilometers to try and make sure they can keep Thor Hushovd in the yellow jersey. And other riders slipping through. Stefan Oj, he was in the breakaway a couple of days ago, and I think he's still paying for the efforts that he put out on that occasion.
As our cars go back up, this is the convoy of team cars. They always have to ride on the right of the road to allow free passage of other things, cars, bicycles, including our camera. Just seeing slipping down the side there too was Aitor Hernandez. Here he is, and he was the boy in the action yesterday for all day, obviously paying the price of the effort yesterday.
Well, that is the important thing, which I cannot stress enough about the Tour de France. You go out and do a long breakaway, especially in this kind of heat, you have to pay the addition one day. You have to pay the bill at the end of the Tour.
That's right. Well, we heard from Race Radio there was an attack by Michael Bogart and Bram de Groot, 2 Dutchmen on the Rabobank team. Well, our cameras are picking them up, so and in fact just on the right it looked like the champions jersey of Holland. Yes, it is. So they've been caught, but they have made 1 move to try and split this field up already. There's Cadel Evans forcing his way into the front as well, the Australian for De Vitamin Lotto. He's a long-term prospect for a big finish this year.
Well, you can feel the pain these riders are going through this afternoon. They're getting to the sticky part of today's course. They've covered that 1 4th category climb in around about 10 kilometers time. They've got another 4th category, followed 10 kilometers after that by the last climb of the day up to the summit of the Kauberg. But you see, these roads, Phil, are very precarious, a lot more narrow. They're zigzagging around the countryside of Limburg here, up and down. And even though we've got 2 more categorized climbs, there's no more flat left in today's race.
No, it's a tough end now. The gap is coming down. It's inside 2 minutes, 1:48 at the moment. Voigt would like a drink of water. looking where the team car is. He wants Jerome Pinot to come past him. He said, I'm waiting for a drink as well. So in which case it's up to Voigt to get back into the line.
Well, there's Pinot at the back there. He's virtually the leader of the King of the Mountains this afternoon. All he has to do is get himself to the finish line. Team manager is up alongside here, the bottle of water to keep him replenished with liquids. But for him, it could almost be champagne.
Well, Jerome Pinot has done his job today now, and Jean-René Bernadotte, his manager, will be delighted with that. He's got a leader and a Frenchman at that on the mountains of the Tour de France. This was the little attack our cameras didn't show you here, and it was Bram de Groot and Michael Bogart getting away here. And the rider from Quick-Step was indeed Stefan Giron. All of them Dutch on home soil. We're going to see a lot of that now as the race runs into its last few miles to the line. See you in a moment.
It's coming. 5 new vehicles. All have our best ideas within them. All are engineered for people who love the road. It's coming. The next generation of Nissan thinking for the next generation of Nissan drivers. Get ready. Shift 2.0 is coming.
There's a lot of margin in selling a $2 jar of cashews for $8. Premium pricing. The grail we all seek. But to earn it, you must satisfy a need at just the right moment. Who's going to help you do that? Huh, Chief? IBM. Innovation for profit.
All new Sundays on E! Ladies, hide your husbands, cause Paris and Nicole are moving in. And it's gonna be one heck of a homecoming.
Uh-oh. Your mom is going to kill you.
But I didn't make the mess.
Yeah, but I'm gonna blame it on you.
The Simple Life, all new Sundays at 10, only on E!
When you take it off, you're gonna like what you see.
Scotch Blue Painter's Tapes.
Yeah, when you take it off, you're gonna like what you see.
Goes on easy, comes off clean, leaving professional paint lines.
Looking good, you got to agree.
Scotch Blue Painter's Tapes for delicate or multi-surfaces.
Go on, take it off!
This summer, get the sunblock that also blocks the bite. New Bullfrog Mosquito Coast Sunblock and Repellent. Up to 8-hour protection against harmful rays and pesky bites, without the odor. New Bullfrog Mosquito Coast. Block the burn and the bite.
Welcome back to the Tour de France. We are now in Holland. We're racing in the last 25 kilometers of the day, last 15 miles. Another long stage of 217 kilometers, and the gap around about 1 3/4 minutes now to these 5 riders who have dictated the pace. Even less than that now, 1:38 coming up as the latest time check. We are heading, of course, to a famous finish in the Tour of Holland. The climb is known as the Coburg. It's the culmination of the only classic race to be held in Holland. It's held every year in April, and it is indeed the Amstel Gold Race. They've also had the World Championships finish there back in the 70s when a Dutchman won by the name of Jan Raas. Well, let's have a look back to those heady days when the Amstel Gold Race has provided us with some famous names in a very famous race. 1999, recognise the man on the right, Lance Armstrong. I thought he'd done enough to win, but then watch the champion of Holland, Michael Bogart. The jersey he wears today, the first time since that day in '99, snatches his only victory. It was close for Lance, so close for a classic win. Well, Lance came back and tried again. Bogart was pretty happy about that, but 2 years later in 2001, a familiar scene this as they battle it out again, and again it's Eric Decker, this time who sadly just left the Tour with injury today, who beat Lance Armstrong. So, and as you come back, this has happened. It looks as though we've had a little bit of a problem here. Well, I thought for a moment, Paul, I thought for a moment then, in fact, that it was a crash with a spectator, but he was just helping them out of a mess. It looks as though we had a change. Eban Mayo had a quick wheel change, and this is the thing that happens in a race like this. When you see a rider stop on the roadside like that with Eban Mayo, he's a race leader, a team leader, possible race winner. He doesn't wait for a spur wheel, he grabs a teammate's wheel and gets on with it.
Reminds me of a couple of years ago when he was the big challenger to Lance Armstrong, and he crashed just before a section of cobblestones and lost himself 2.5, 3.5 minutes. The whole team was pulled back now for Eban Mayo. That's an indication, Phil, that they've got a lot of confidence in this man to finish high up in the overall classification. Rode a brilliant Dauphiné Libéré earlier this year, winning one of the new climbs that we're going to see in the Tour de France in a couple of weeks' time up to the summit of La Toussuire.
Well, Mayo, I think, is creeping into his best ever form. He was a huge prospect a couple of years ago. He sort of fell out of it all. I think he's back this year, and I think he will be a name that we should be talking more about. Clearly, the way the team has reacted here with that problem, they think he's pretty good as well. He's racing back up to the back of the peloton, meanwhile, with a lead of 1 minute and 28 seconds now, and just about 21 kilometers to go, a little more than 12 miles to the finish. These boys are beginning to think they might have a slight chance.
They might begin to think that, but I might begin to think that the sprinters want to pull them back, and they're inside my favorite recipe of 1 minute for 10 kilometers of racing. They've stopped the cars there, very dangerous. These guys have got to be so alert, and you see that traffic furniture here in Holland. Yes. It is so dangerous to race here. A lot of riders are quite scared of coming to ride the Amstel Gold Race because that race is a very complicated race. You never actually know where you are in relation to the finish because you're left, right, up, down, in, out, all over the place.
Well, Eban Mayo is the man dodging through the cars. He's being brought back up by 3 teammates here, including Inigo Landaluz and David Lopez Garcia, to try and get him back into the pack quickly and without using too much energy, because we've still got 2 climbs to come, and this race will explode at that point because the leaders, they want to be caught before the Cowberg turns up.
They certainly do. We're looking here at the sign indicating 20 kilometers to go to the finish. Bram tanking on the front there. There's another move coming from the front group. This is not good when you're thinking about surviving as a group of 5 riders. When you start attacking one at a time like this, it's an indication that you're starting to lose momentum.
That is Christophe Laurent again from Agri Turbo, the wildcard team who has gone. It's his second attack in the last 8 or 9 kilometers. And he really has gone this time, and there's been no reaction from them.
No reaction from Jens Voigt either. Jens, I would have expected to be the man to be all over any kind of counter move like this, because Jens is an aggressive athlete. He always looks for the move. And Laurent now looking over his shoulder as we go to the back end of the main field, and you can see here that Eban Mayo has made the contact with the group, but because this is so dangerous to run into the finish, he really needs to ride straight up to the front if he can.
He's looking for the inside track here to they're trying to put him back at the front before it splits again on the narrow climbs ahead. These 4 boys are now chasing Christophe Laurent. You can see him, and it looks like they've got a reaction coming their way, but they're going to have to work hard. Here he is, Christophe Laurent, who's tried again to steal a stage from beneath the bigger names of the Tour de France. Christophe has only ridden 1 tour before this, and now he's trying to go for gold. He's going to do it the hard way if he does. And here comes the clawback, I think, and I think that's Arrieta who has caught him first. Anyway, let's remind ourselves about our Saab sweepstakes at olntv.com/fly to the finish is where you go. And here's a look at today's code word. It is USA. And in fact, Arrieta has now joined Laurent at the front here. There's our brave cameraman trying to work out what's going on when the attacks come thick and fast at him. And they're saying now at about 20 kilometers to go, the official gap is, there it is, 1 minute 20 seconds coming through. And Jens Voigt, surprisingly, has now got rid of him, the other 2, and he's also trying to catch up with the leaders. Now, Voigt is never going to give up trying, because this man simply never does give up trying, as he tries now to bridge the gap. It's going to be a big effort, and it will probably be the end of these 2 here, Pinot and Unai Echeverria. Well, we knew they wouldn't keep Voigt out of the picture too long, but it looks as though Pino's day is done. It's a fourth category climb anyway, so he's not going to get any points now, but he is the leader already.
Well, he doesn't have to worry too much about that, and I think for him the goal of this breakaway this afternoon was to get the lead in that King of the Mountains classification. But the goal of Jens Voigt, Phil, is to just go out and get in the breakaways, try and get himself a few time bonus seconds, and of course try and get himself the win. I have to say Jens is a very popular character, not only with the press, but I think he's probably one of the most popular riders with the professional athletes in this event, and he actually also is their representative at the international.
It's a crash. Another crash. Well, what is going on in the peloton, Paul? But there's Française de Dieu riders. 2 of them are down there. This is it again.
This, Phil, is fatigue. This is the day 3 out on the open road. It's the most difficult day for many of the riders. Victor Hugo Peña has gone down. Valverde has gone down too.
Ouch.
There's the white jersey.
Look good.
Well, Alejandro Valverde does not look very good at all. Let's see where the crash happened there.
Right in the middle, bottom corner. Touch of wheels. I'm not sure it wasn't Valverde who went down there first, actually, Paul. He was the first man down.
He went down very hard, and it was right up at the front end of the main field. Oh, this looks like it could be a collarbone.
Oh, no. Well, this man was one of the big stars. He was even tipped to win today. This is going to be very sad news. The pictures, of course, also live in Spain, and they will be beside themselves. Alejandro Valverde, the man who beat Lance Armstrong to the top of the Alps in Courchevel last year, and then retired with a damaged knee, but said he would come back and ride a great tour. And it doesn't look good. It was Valverde, Paul, who went down first.
Went down first, went down very hard, riding sensibly at the front of the main field in 25th to 30th position. He went down so hard, and I think the hopes of Spain will have taken a little bit of a dive this afternoon, because the doctor, Gerard Porte, is up alongside him there trying to see whether or not this man can get up and ride again. It doesn't look good, though.
No, Gerard Porte, the doctor here, is now going to have a look at his collarbone and just see. But if they possibly can ride on, the doctors will allow them to go and check them on the road before they make a final decision. Of course, if they say you can't go on, that's it. You have to withdraw, but I don't like the look on Gerard's face here. It's almost as if he's looking for his car to call up the ambulance.
Well, that's a sad day for the Spanish fans to see that move go down like that. Poor old Alejandro Valverde. A lot of people were starting to tip him, Phil, as a favourite to win the Tour de France overall. He, for me, was a big favourite this afternoon, not only to take the stage, but possibly take the leader's yellow jersey as well, because he was only 16 seconds off the overall lead.
It's very, very sad. What a sad day it's been today for the big boys. Well, Alejandro Valverde obviously will keep right on top of that as we get it from the race course. But Valverde appearing at the moment to have damaged his right clavicule or collarbone as the race continues on towards the finish, and we are running out of time. Will we catch 3 riders out front or not? We'll take yet another break. Back soon.
Time trialing is all about aerodynamics. The biggest contribution that a frame can make is to shield the rear wheel. That's why Cervelo uses this cutout that follows the exact width of the rear wheel and goes up as high as possible.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on. The turbocharged Saab 9.3 sports sedan with an estimated 31 miles per gallon highway. Once you've built jets, you don't build just another car. Saab, born from jets. And now with the Saab 72-hour sales event, get 0% financing for 60 months. Take off in a new Saab today.
Well, it's been a long day for Strahan.
What a lovely shot! Yeah!
Hey, maybe it's your deodorant. Let's start over. No, this time start with new Right Guard Sport Deodorant, now packed with even more scent. Right Guard, start right and right.
Jogar. Dê uma bola a uma criança e ela joga. Crescer. Aprender.
Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop. Bicycle Village has Colorado's largest selection of bikes, from tandems to trikes to top-end bikes. All the best brands and the largest selection. Over 1,000 bikes set up and ready to ride from the brands you want, like Trek, Specialized, Raleigh, Lightspeed, and more. Only Bicycle Village offers same-day bike service to get you back on your bike quicker. Plus lifetime tunes and an unbeatable performance guarantee on every bike we sell. And we always guarantee the lowest prices. Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop.
Glow. 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 Glow.
Glow, 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 glow.
Alrighty then. Let's glow camping.
Back with the riders here as we continue in the Tour de France, and look at this now, the riders, the Scottish flag flying there. Well, that'll be for David Miller, I suspect, one of only 2 British riders in the race. As they continue, this is the saddest sight of the day, I'm afraid. It's Alessandro Valverde, suspected broken right collarbone, and is out of the Tour de France. The man who was a real big favourite. You never know, do you, what lies just around the corner in a Tour de France here. The breakaway is split. Arrieta at the moment is on his own up front, chased by Christophe Laurent. Jens Voigt is cracked as well. They're all being closed in by this breakaway group now, which is trying to get something going. Here is the polka dot leaders jersey here now. This is David de la Fuente. He's lost his lead today, remember, but he's still looking to try and keep himself in this. He's been proving to be an extremely popular rider, waving at the camera there. But it looks as though he's also in a spot of bother now on this climb. There's a Dutch flag from the town of Zwolle. Well, the empty road now, this is the debris on the climb. This one's done the damage. The legs and the heat has finally given up here. As we watch riders in, the one lone leader now is Jose Luis Arrieta. He's going for it, and he's dropped everybody from that lead group, and he still has just an outside chance of success here. Arrieta is the most experienced rider, along with Voigt in the breakaway. This is 7th Tour de France.
Well, he turned professional back in 1993, and as far as I can remember, he's only ever won a single race, and that was a race in the Tour of the Asturias region of Spain, and that was way back in 2002 when he was riding for Banesto.
Well, right now, if he can just conquer what will seem like a mountain now, that's the climb of the Coburg, then he'll have a 2-kilometer race for the line at the top, and that would be an incredible result for him, but it's not over by any means yet. Here comes the field. Big names out today, all with injuries, all suspected broken collarbones. Alessandro Valverde, Eric Decker and Fred Rodriguez.
Expensive day for the sport, with a lot of these riders really trying to ride at the front end of the main field. Day 3, day 4 is always very dangerous, especially as riders start to get that first feeling of fatigue. After that, you're just the same tiredness all of the time. But what happens on day 3 and 4 is your reactions start to slow down, and I'm sure that's what happened to Valverde.
So as we're looking here at Jose Luis Arrieta, he hasn't won a bike race since May 2002. And this could be his big day. It's not all over yet for him, but it is for this man, Alessandro Valverde, the first big favourite to lead the Tour de France, sadly, in the ambulance. That really is bad luck. We'll be back.
The German word for safe is sicher. The Portuguese word for firewall is muro de fogo. The Chinese word for password is mima. My company's in 17 countries now, and I can say secure in every one of them.
Dynamic networking from AT&T identifies security threats before they're problems, so Jane's confidence grows right alongside her company. The new AT&T, your world delivered.
Blue skies are the norm in the mountains when summer comes, and I'm on the trails every chance I get. Maybe more important than the weather is the gear I use to maximize my experience. I choose LL Bean gear. These can be long days. Over 90 years of boot-making experience goes into LL Bean's Cresta hiking boots. Boots so comfortable, I know I'll wear out long before my feet do. Mountain weather can change without warning, and when it does, I'm ready with my Mountain Storm system. I can put on the rugged jacket for protection against the wind and rain, just a soft shell if the weather's cool, or both for a warm, dry jacket in the worst weather. For a full day of hiking, I load up my award-winning Bigelow pack, and I know I can cover a lot of terrain in total comfort and with everything I need within easy reach. Products designed for durability and performance, sold directly to the consumer at a great price. Check out llbean.com or call 800-441-4913 to get a free catalog or ask an expert about any of LL Bean's gear.
LL Bean is the official outfitter of OLN's Tour de France broadcast team. Every night, OLN brings you the Tour enhanced. See today's stage with commentary by Alan Bob, extra features and analysis, and more. The Tour de France Enhanced Prime, tonight at 8 p.m. Brought to you by LL Bean. OLN Survivor Wednesdays returns with an earth-shaking season. Brace yourself for Survivor Vanuatu Islands of Fire. Go! The gender war is about to explode. Survivor Wednesdays Vanuatu begins July 26th at 7 p.m. on OLN.
So, tell me in your own words a little bit about Geico.
Well, it's one-stop shopping, really, Geico.com. You can get a free rate quote, you could compare coverage options, you could file a claim, pay your bill online, even, you know, have a little chat with an associate if you need help.
What about you? Can they chat with you?
I'm here for Geico, love. Let's not delve into my personal life, eh?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Welcome back to the Tour de France. Another stunning Trek aerial view here of the area of the Belgian Ardennes. The riders have now crossed over the border, of course, and they have now headed up towards the finish. They're in the last 10 kilometres of the day, with Jose Luis Arrieta bound for the Cauberg on his own. Can he stay away? That's the big question. Just over a minute and a quarter, his advantage at the minute. There's the main field in very angry mood now, getting smaller by the minute because 3 names out of the Tour today, all with broken collarbones suspected. Well, this is the situation as we get under the 10-kilometre banner. This is the leader who hasn't won a race since 2002. Now beginning to think, can he do this one and get the greatest moment in his career? He's finished the Tour de France every time he's ridden except once, when in 1998 he abandoned on stage 15, and he's now attempting it for the 7th time. And in Holland, it don't matter if it's a Spanish rider on a French team, they will cheer him all the way home. They just love a winner. This is the big cycling nation. Well, this man is racing to the Cauberg. It is a nasty 3rd category climb, 2 kilometres on the finish. Here's Frankie Andreu on it.
Today is the 4th day of the Tour de France, and it's possible we could see another change in the yellow jersey. I'm standing here on the Cauberg climb, which is the final climb in today's race. This race goes over some of the same routes that's used in the World Cup races, such as Amstel Gold and Liège-Bastogne-Liège. This climb, which only comes 2 kilometers from the finish, is not that long. It's only 800 meters long, but it's very steep and very hard. At the bottom, watch for multiple teams to be leading out their leaders to make sure that their GC guys are in great position to try to attack over the top of this. At the top of the climb, any rider that might be 2 or 3 seconds off the back of a group could lose 30 to 40 seconds by the finish. It's incredible out here. There are tons of people. They are very excited to see the strongmen attack, because that's the only way they're going to win, is if they can get rid of the sprinters.
Thanks, Frankie. Yes, indeed. They're enjoying their day on the Cauberg. We're nearly there. Did you see how many people are on that climb? Well, there'll be more than ever when we get there. 1:20 the gap. All that remains now of today's stage of the Tour de France is to sweep up the men ahead and to get onto the crowd-lined Cauberg climb, where the riders will be deafened by the screams and the shouts, and they're shouting, of course, for a Dutch winner today. But there's a big problem, and his name is Jose Luis Arrieta.
And he's holding on to a big chunk of his advantage. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds. Jens Voigt and Laurent are just about 50 seconds behind him. But this man may well just cause the massive surprise. He's riding very well. He's riding very strongly. Doesn't look like a broken man at all here. He's hugging the side of the road, trying to keep himself out of the wind as much as possible. He knows the course. He knows what's in store for him. He's actually got to hold back a little bit of energy, Phil, because it'll take an awful lot of energy to get his body over the Kauberg.
Well, it is a big effort required now. He can't make any more. This is Jerome Pino here, who said, that's me for the day. Well, don't forget to go to the podium, because a polka dot jersey awaits you, Jerome. And he'll do that when he gets to the end, but that's it for the day now. He'll cruise home. He's around about 10 kilometres still to ride, but for these boys, they're picking up Christophe Laurent there.
There's
Jens Voigt, left picture, so he's gone past as well. And now the pack know they're catching them, and that's going to inspire the chase. I think this man, Paul, is the only one left.
He is the only man left at the front of the bike race, and it's just been slashed from 1 minute and 20 seconds down to 1 minute and 2 seconds. Over the next few kilometres, he's going to lose huge chunks of time. What he's got to do is get himself into a zone, not think about the fact that the main field is coming back, just try and concentrate and keep the pain at a bearable level in his legs and in his mind as well.
Well, the Kauberg at 800 metres long and still 2 kilometres to go when you get over the top. He could be swept away on the climb itself right now, and I really wouldn't wish that on him. The temperatures are so high here, and he's chosen the whole day to lead the race.
Well, he's led the race for an awful long time, and now it's just really a question of survival. It comes down to the old cat and mouse tactic. Will the teams of the sprinters get it right once again, as they always seem to do? Poor old Matthias Kessler yesterday looked like he had race one at 1 kilometre to go, and they snatched him up at 50 metres from the finish line. No mercy.
And look at the pace being put on here by Leaky Gas now, because they're hoping to deliver Luca Paolini to the line. He's a little bit more than just a sprinter, Luca Paolini. So that's why this rider here is gritting his teeth and going on. Bogart is just off our picture to the red jersey on the left there. He knows the way up the Kauberg better than any man in this bunch.
Tom Bonen is over there on the right-hand side as well. He's being piloted to the front by Juan Manuel Garate. You can see him there, the rider in the blue jersey with the orange and red bands on, former champion of Spain. He's trying to keep Boonen at the front. Boonen may well cause a surprise here this afternoon. You know, Boonen, I think, wants the win, because if he gets the win, he could get himself the lead in the yellow jersey competition. And tomorrow, we start in Belgium.
Yes, and that's exactly why he wants it. So important to Tom today to take yellow tonight and to go to Huy tomorrow for the race start, which then takes us back into France, and there we will stay. But Michael Rogers also is a rider who can ride pretty well in the mountains. He's a time trial specialist. This rider, though, is just sitting there, concentrating, not looking round, just hoping.
Well, the rock is starting to appear in his shoulders there. You see the head bouncing about a fraction. I'm not surprised. He's starting to feel the fatigue creep all the way through his body, while he knows behind these men will show him no mercy at all. They will run him down, right down to the finish. But he's still holding on to 49 seconds advantage with 5 kilometres to go.
You know, Gerolsteiner are right up there as well, and that's Levi Leipheimer's team. They're also planning something here.
Well, this is Stuart O'Grady, and he seems to have been dropped off the back of the group. Now, that's a bit of a surprise for me, because Stuart O'Grady was high up in the overall classification at the start of the day in 8th place.
I've no idea. The camera just cut back to him there. He's behind, and he's going to not feature in the finish today, that's for sure. Now we're in the outskirts of Valkenburg here now, at around 4 kilometres to go. That'll be the 4 kilometre banner. So we are nearly there. We crossed the town. Look at the crowd here. Half of them haven't bothered to go up the Valkenburg, Kauberg rather. We'll cross the crowd line here into this town. This is a famous holiday town here in Holland. And then we'll flick up to the climb and grit your teeth and hang on, because these boys are going to rip the race apart now.
They are going to rip the race apart at 31 seconds for Jose Luis Arrieta. He's in the town of Valkenburg. Very shortly, he's going to take a very nasty left-hand turn, and in front of him will be a wall known as the Kauberg, a very famous climb in the sport of professional cycling. Yellow jersey, Thor Hushoff, right up at the front end of the main field.
Sort of.
He has to fight to stay up there this afternoon to keep in the lead.
Here we are, Valkenburg, around the corner, just 2/10 of a kilometre, 2/10 of a mile rather, is the climb of the Kauberg. We'll make the turn, we'll hit it. Well, it's when you get to this stage yet again, you want to get on that bike and give him a hand because they deserve the victory, but the boys behind are chasing. Here's the sweep, take it wide, Jose Luis, and then start the climb before an enormous crowd right in the distance. Here we go up around those houses, out into the countryside, once over the climb, 2 straight kilometres to the finish.
Ouch, and it's really going to hurt. 21 seconds advantage. He's going here through a tunnel of noise as all of these people want him to succeed. They've been watching this race for about 2.5 hours live on television, and at 3 kilometers to go, they really want this man to win at the top of the Kauberg. It's only 0.8 of a kilometer long. 7.3% is the average gradient, and at the top, there's 2 kilometers to go to the finish. Pulling the cars out like that, Phil, is not a great sign.
14 seconds is the time gap we are getting. 14 seconds. The climb starts around the corner. And Jose Luis Arrieta knows why those cars are leaving him. These are desperate days now for the Spanish cyclists who really got very close. The climb has started. Here comes the first chase across. Crédit Agricole has ripped off the front of this race, the teammate of Thor Hushoff. And it wouldn't surprise me if this isn't Sebastian Hinault who's trying to reach him.
Look at the people that have turned out here in the town of Valkenburg. This is just like a World Championships crowd whenever the Tour de France comes to Holland, and it's been to Holland on 8 separate occasions previously. The crowd turn out to boot, and there is the main field. This man, Phil, sadly is not going to survive.
Well, he's on the climb, and if he can just get over the top, he's being reached here. It might be Alexander Botcharov who's made a rush at him here, the Russian rider on Crédit Agricole, but his legs have suddenly kicked in. He's coming back. Bogart is looking for the action on the nose now. This is the Tom Bonen. Tom Bonen is third. They've caught him. It's all for the sprint. Tom Bonen, the world champion. A win means yellow for him. He lies third.
Oscar Freire is up there in 4th as well, right on the wheel of Tom Bonen. The boogeyman, they call him. Michael Bogart is all over the front, and Philippe Gilbert is right in the action as well at the front of the main field. Look at the faces of these riders, Phil. This climb, it's horrendous at the end of a long stage like this.
Matthias Kessler, the hero of yesterday, has really found some strength here as he rips up the Kauberg. But look at the strength of the rider who's just tagged on behind him there. And I wasn't too sure who. Francois Gilbert, must be Gilbert. Philippe Gilbert, he's got him. This would be a huge result for Belgium if this happens. And Bonen and the Bogart are trying now to reach them, but they still remember it's 2 kilometers over the top. We've had a puncture down the back. What an unfortunate time to get a flat tyre. And that rider, in fact,
Cassar,
is
Sandy
standing.
Cassar.
Well, when you look, is out, it is out. This boy we thought would ride well in this year's Tour de France.
He's a long way down now. He's going to lose massive chunks of time. There is the flag up at the top there. This is a great move by Kessler. He was out on the attack yesterday, felt that he was robbed, got caught at just 50 meters to go to the finish line, but they'll get themselves organized behind. Michael Bogart will bury himself to try and get himself in a situation where he can give the win to Oscar Freire, who on his own has been 3 times champion of the world. This man, though, Phil, wearing number 24, he deserves to win. He lost it for 50 meters yesterday.
Of course he does, but the race don't think like commentators do, and they'll hunt him down if they can. He gets the maximum points over the climb. Sorry about the picture breaker, but there are a few trees around. But Kessler is the man who's trying now to get what he couldn't get yesterday, robbed at 50 meters to go.
You know what? Boonen's up there in 2nd place. He's looking very strong. He's got himself over the Kauberg, but now they're getting themselves organized. Team Rabobank want to pull back this one man, Matthias Kessler. He said, I went out on the attack yesterday because I wanted to prove that T-Mobile were in the race. Well, he's inside the last kilometer. There is the kite. He might have timed it right.
Well, I think this time Matthias Kessler has timed it right. He found the strength on the day. Kessler robbed yesterday. Sometimes justice has a strange way of working, but I think this time he is going to achieve his win. And he hasn't won a race since April 2004.
They've slowed down a fraction at the front end of the main field, and that's all you need inside the last kilometer. Matthias Kessler is gritting his teeth. He's looking for the line, but he won't look back because he won't want to see the main field returning up to him. Look at his face. The power he's trying to generate is maximum. The main field are all over the road behind him, but they seem to have paused just too much.
The sprinters started at the back now. The Lampre boys, they're shadow boxing. They've made a mistake. Kessler is going to win this now. now. Bernardi is opening the run here, but it's all too late. Tom Bonan, if he gets second, he might still get the lead. And Kessler has been in this deja vu situation yesterday, but not today. Matthias Kessler gets the win and deserves it. Who finishes off for second place? Bonan beaten again, and it is a 1-2 because that was T-Mobile, and it was very, very likely Sinkovich or Cloden who got second place.
Well, I tell you what, there's a split in the main field. We need to see where the yellow jersey is, and I think that's him coming in now, so he's lost a little bit of time to Hushov.
Maybe they'll split
It's going to go back to the count because of that, but Phil, finally, there is a little bit of justice in this sport because Matthias Kessler deserved to win yesterday. There's Robbie McEwen coming in as well. So the big sprinters didn't get over the climb, apart from, of course, Tom Bonan, who just was a little bit under par this afternoon.
Well, we'll have to wait and see exactly where Tom Bonan finished because he was only 5 seconds behind. I don't know. I think, in fact, Hushov will keep his leader's yellow jersey.
It depends on the time gap. It depends on the gap between that group and the group with Thor Hushov, because at the start of the day, Tom Bonan was 5 seconds down, but there was definitely a gap in the main field, and we won't have access to that for a couple more minutes.
No, that is true. I think he'll probably keep his lead, but it depends if the referees decide to offer a 3 or 4 second gap there between those groups as they came over the line. These are the boys who had had enough by the time they got into Valkenburg, and I can't say I blame them. That was a tough finish. Well, he showed us he had tremendous strength yesterday when he made a late dash for the line, and it didn't quite work out. I take my hat off him for him to try the same move again, and this time it did work out.
Well, he really dug deep there. You could see it all over his face. He really wanted that win, and that gives a little bit of pride, Phil, back to T-Mobile. Well, this man, Stuart O'Grady, I think was actually involved in a crash a little bit earlier on.
Yep.
If we could pull back and see, we may well see what happened to O'Grady out on the course. He's going to drop right out of the top 10 today.
They're pulling back, but we're moving away. We're not in control of the pictures, everyone, but looking at the face there of O'Grady, he's quite injured, I think. Well, what an incredible stage finish. It didn't work out at all as we expected in the end, but we'll have to work out. It'll take more than a pen and paper, I think, for a few minutes as the riders continue to come. But the big news is Matthias Kessler, remember, he's on the same team as Jan Ulrich, who isn't here, has brought some credence back to the team with a great victory. His last win was in April 2004. And the name of the race, the Grand Prix Miguel Indurain, the man who won the Tour de France 5 times. We'll take our usual break. We'll come back. Hopefully, we'll have sorted everything out, and we'll pay due homage to Matthias Kessler. See you in a moment.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on. Introducing the all-new Saab 97X. Once you've built jets, you don't build just another SUV. Saab, born from jets. And now with the Saab 72-hour sales event, get 0% financing for 60 months. Take off in a new Saab today.
Your life doesn't have one dimension. Neither should your beer. The rewarding taste of Michelob Ultra. Perfectly balanced and made for today. Live life to the ultra.
This is sick! Help! I hate you! Stop smiling!
Blow me a kiss.
What are you, high? We got nothing to worry about.
Get HBO on demand. It's the best thing to happen to TV since HBO.
July 21st on QVC and QVC.com.
Welcome back. We're now looking down on a typically Dutch church here in Valkenburg in the Netherlands. A dramatic finish to today's stage of the Tour de France. A drama-packed day indeed. Alessandro Valverde, one of the big favourites, crash and out of the Tour de France, while Matthias Kessler, who hasn't won a race since May 2004, gets the win today. And let's have a look at the results first. And here are those stage results. Kessler wins ahead of Michael Rogers. It was, well, I take my hat off, and I'm sorry, Michael, I didn't catch you, because that was a great finish for Michael. I did say in commentary it was a good prospect, though. Daniela Benati third, Tom Bonen fourth, and Eric Zabel, that man can do anything, even as old as he is, has come up with a fine fifth-place ride today. Bonen just hasn't quite got it right yet, has he? Luca Paolini, we saw the men working for him. He finished with a sixth place. Oscar Freire made it in seventh. Georg Tochnig, who's a very good climber, got home in ninth. And Fabian Weckmann, despite his great riding yesterday, has found his legs again. He is in 10th position. Well, this is the sad side. We've gone further down the climb here, because this is poor old Stuart O'Grady here, as he is now coming home. He's fallen somewhere on the course, we think possibly in the Valverde crash.
Yeah.
So he's climbing it very, very slowly here. It's a long way up this climb when you're injured. We've seen the same happen to Sandy Cassar, who talked. And so we're now looking here, involved in a crash. We don't know what the crash was, but we suspect it was the same crash that has taken Valverde off to hospital.
Well, Kessler was the man who definitely got himself the win here this afternoon. He held on to like about 5 seconds just ahead of Michael Rogers on the finishing line. But I'm still waiting to see if we can pop up and get the time gap between that group of Michael Rogers and the group of Thor Hushovd, because we could see a new change in the overall classification. One way or another, it's going to be very close as to whether or not Tom Boonen was the man to get the lead. But that's certainly what he was looking for this afternoon. Fourth place doesn't get him a time bonus.
Yeah, well, the situation, as far as we know, there is a possibility that if they have done a time gap, then I suspect they will give the yellow jersey to Tom Bonen, but we don't know that yet. And certainly I was very impressed by that finish by Michael Rogers. Let's have a look then at the Michelob Ultra, and there it is. Tom Bonen, so they split-timed them at the finish. Bonen by a single second over Michael Rogers. How close is that? Hincapie is on his way back. He was in that lead group. He's got third. Hushovd lost 7 seconds. They split-timed them. So Bonen, he must have done 2-second gap then, was the answer to the question. Benati, these are the boys. Floyd Landis is right there, very cleverly placed in 7th. Top 10 completed by the stage winner, Matthias Kessler at 17 seconds. And now he is also in the frame. And there he is. That's where he made the move, and Philippe Gilbert couldn't follow him. Well, we'll take another break, and when we come back, of course, we will have all of the usual things, the interviews, and some more updates on what has happened today.
Try new cheesy chicken mashed potato bowls from KFC. Freshly prepared with our famous mashed potatoes, layered with sweet corn, all white meat crispy chicken, and topped with our signature gravy and 3-cheese blend. Great flavors come together at KFC.
Own the year's most explosive DVD, The Matador. Critics say grab this one by the horns and enjoy the ride. It's the best performance Pierce Brosnan has ever given.
My business is my pleasure. Sometimes people need to be eliminated.
The Matador. Own it today on DVD.
Here's to men. To guys who want to take longer drives with fewer pit stops. To guys who want to spend less time in the men's room and more time fishing. And here's to Flomax. It's approved to treat male urinary symptoms due to BPH, also called an enlarged prostate. In 1 week, Flomax may help symptoms like going often, going urgently, weak stream, frequently waking up at night to go. For you, Flomax could make a difference in 1 week. Ask your doctor if symptoms are from BPH, not prostate cancer. Common side effects of Flomax are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Upon standing, a sudden decrease in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. So when starting Flomax, avoid situations where injury could result. For more information, call 877-4-FLOMAX. Ask your doctor about Flomax. Flomax could make a difference in 1 week.
Real shooters, real rules, real cash. The world's greatest players, Hall of Famers, and hustlers battle it out for the richest payday in the history of the sport. Over $1 million in prize money. But to rack up that kind of cash, they better bring their 8 game.
Come on, you country redneck.
It's the IPT King of the Hill 8-ball shootout 2-hour season finale. Sunday at 6 Eastern, only on OLN.
It's showtime.
Still have an adjustable mortgage? Refinance now to a low fixed rate from Ditech.com. We'll also guarantee you the lowest rate and fee. At Ditech, refinancing is quick and easy, even if your credit is less than perfect. Log on or call 1-800-71-FIXED.
Before my wipers streak or my belt start to squeak, I know I'm gonna catch it on time.
AutoZone has the people, parts, and advice it takes to stop trouble before it starts.
Nobody knows your car like you do. Nobody knows what it needs like we do. AutoZone.
Somewhere between getting the free camera, the free CDs, the free dinner, and the free plane tickets. Somewhere between saying goodbye and coming home, you'll get trip rewards for staying at Super 8. See you along the way. Get more rewards with Trip Rewards at Super 8.
Drive to rewards at Super 8 and you can win a hot Chevy Uplander. For details, visit super8.com.
Welcome back to the streets of the Netherlands here as the Tour de France has just arrived. A sensational finish, a one on the day by Matthias Kessler. He didn't do enough to get the leader's yellow jersey. Tom Bonen did, though, even though his sprint didn't give him the usual result. And so he gets to go into Belgium tomorrow, leading this race by 1 second. In fact, he's never before worn the yellow jersey. So that's the story of the day. There are plenty more. Let's go back to Trautwig and Bob Roll.
All right, Phil, so another yellow jersey shakeup, and Matthias Kessler of T-Mobile got it 50 meters wrong yesterday. He got it 50 meters right today. It's been a horrible month for Team CSC and for T-Mobile and for Spanish cycling overall as Alejandro Valverde is out. Another hit for Spain, but T-Mobile salvages a little bit today because of what Kessler was able to do.
Great ride by Matthias Kessler. So close on the stage yesterday, but finally he's come up with the goods. A little bit of redemption for the T-Mobile squad after the expulsion of Jan Ullrich from this year's Tour. Here he is attacking on the Cauberg. Philippe Gilbert, my pick, trying to go with him. Come on, Philippe. Not quite enough. Matthias Kessler. Yes, that is redemption for the man from Germany on the T-Mobile squad.
So here's what happened as far as just this stage is concerned. Matthias Kessler for T-Mobile and Michael Rogers of T-Mobile complete the pink 1-2. Then Bonatti, Tom Boonen almost pulled it off near his home country of Belgium. Not quite. Oscar Ferreira missing by 5 seconds, and then in came a big bunch. What's most interesting today is how the yellow jersey changes as you look at the other finishers in this stage. Cadel Evans, 14th. George Hincapie just 5 seconds back into the 15th spot. And there you see it, Bobby Julich, Carlos Sastre, and Cyril Dessel. A couple of crashes today. It looked as though Stuart O'Grady went down in a crash. We lost Eric Decker down in a crash. We lost Freddie Rodriguez of the United States in a crash. But Alejandro Valverde, on the minds of some, thinking that he could win this Tour de France. Bang, over.
Absolutely, just as quickly as that. We saw him in line, surrounded by his teammates, and then moments later, you can see about the bottom of the screen, but only 30 or 4 riders back. Valverde is in the white jersey there, goes down second or third, and is out of the Tour. Broken collarbone and abandoned. Hard luck. That is the nature of the Tour de France and why it's so special to win.
So major attrition in the heat today, some of it because of the heat and some of it because of the crashes, and those crashes could have been because of the heat with a lack of concentration in a long hot stage like this. We'll check out a change at the yellow jersey status here in this 2006 Tour de France. Stay with us. We're back on OLN after this.
The stage is set, the road is open, and the race to crown a new king is on. Stage 4 is a sprinter's dream. Will that mean short-lived glory? The Tour de France continues tomorrow live at 8:30 a.m. on OLN. Brought to you by Capital One. OLNTV.com is on tour and right in the middle of the Tour de France. Get instant and exclusive access to clips, photos, bios, and race routes, along with stage summaries and forecasts from our team of experts. OLNTV.com, your link to the Tour de France.
The real-world testing we do here at Honda's Safety Research Center enables us to design products that provide exceptional protection for drivers, passengers, and pedestrians. Because what we learn in here makes a difference out there.
It has been said that innovation is an art. Yet, the one true test of this art form is the value it brings us. The results. Anything else is just showing off. IBM, innovation for results.
Our workday never ends. I'm not saying our people don't go home or have lives, but ending our workday here doesn't stop our best thinking from moving forward someplace else.
Dynamic networking from AT&T enables collaboration around the world and the clock, so Allen's company is always ahead of market demands, schedules, and the competition. The new AT&T, your world delivered.
Free yourself from big phone bills. With Comcast Digital Voice, you get unlimited local and long distance, plus 12 popular calling features, while saving more than 20% over Quest. And it's only $39.95 a month for Comcast customers. Comcast Digital Voice. It's Comcastic. Switch to Comcast Digital Voice risk-free and get all your Comcast services on one bill. Stop writing those big checks to the phone company. Comcast Digital Voice gives you unlimited local and long distance with 12 popular calling features plus voicemail, all for just $39.95 a month. So you save more than 20% over Quest. Comcast Digital Voice. It's Comcastic. Get Comcast Digital Voice for just $39.95 a month. Call 1-800-COMCAST.
The 2006 Tour de France on OLN is brought to you by IBM. What makes you special? And by Honda, committed to safety for everyone.
In Valkenburg, the Netherlands, the finish line for today's Stage 3, and we've already had 3 different men wear the yellow jersey as it changes hands today as a result of what Matthias Kessler of T-Mobile was able to do, holding on to win by about 15 feet. As T-Mobile gets a chance to smile, and this is a team that could use a little bit of that.
Kessler nearly won the stage yesterday, still has a little bit of energy left, making a late break on the Cowbird from the Amstel Gold Race and streaking to the finish line. Great result for T-Mobile during a tremendous period of controversy for that squad. And here he is on the podium, getting very deserved accolades.
The inflatable podium that makes its way to the finish line each and every day. So the yellow jersey changes hands, and to neighboring Belgium, something to celebrate. Tom Boonen, the man they call
Boom Boom, the torpedo Tom Boonen. Great ride. Get the yellow jersey, and his teammate is just a second behind. George Hincapie moving into 3rd place, Hushov down to 4th, and Savadelli into 5th. Daniele Benatti sprinting well, 6th place, and Floyd Landis, another American, in the top 10. He's in 7th on Phonak, just 16 seconds behind our leader, Tom Boonen.
Now, Matthias Kessler, as you saw in the classification for the yellow jersey presented by Michelob Ultra, vaults himself to 17 seconds within the lead for the yellow jersey. Is he a player in the overall race?
We'll see as time goes on. Perhaps you're right.
On the podium, Tom Boonen getting his yellow jersey.
A bit of a consolation prize for Tom Boonen. I'm sure he would rather have won the stage and gotten the jersey, but he was 4th in the sprint, and that was a very, very tough climb. I think such a long, hot day, and it's been a lot of hot days so far in the Tour, so a lot of fatigue riders. And Tom Boonen, by vent of Tor Hushov getting dropped, he moves into their jersey. He was the only one of our sprinters able to stay in the front group.
So the sprinters have had a chance to wear the yellow jersey. First Tor Hushov, and now we'll see how Tom Boonen handles the wearing of the yellow jersey. Not a good day for many of the riders in this Tour de France. One of them, an American, Freddie Rodriguez. He crashed at the same time Eric Decker of Rabobank these are the only pictures we have, and this is of the aftermath, and you could almost tell right away that this was not good.
No, this is not good at all. When a rider cannot get up immediately, especially in the last few kilometers of a bike race, you know that something seriously has happened to them. When you're 20 Ks to the finish and you crash, you can't bounce up, you know that the race is going ahead of you, and you just, something serious has happened, and that's what happened to Decker and Rodriguez on that time.
As it is every day, as soon as one stage is done, we look ahead to tomorrow's stage 4, and after all the climbing today, although it's not in the mountains like the Alps or the Pyrenees, tomorrow's stage 4, as we continue this march around France in a counterclockwise fashion, presented by AMD, is all flat.
Dead flat. There's a couple of climbs early on from Puy all the way to Saint-Quentin, back into France, 207 kilometers.
And that's the way it'll spell out tomorrow on the 5th of July. Hope you enjoyed your Independence Day back in the States. George Hincapie, Floyd Landis, the American hopes for the yellow jersey in Paris, they're all fine right where they need to be. Stage 4 begins live 8:30 a.m. on the East Coast, 5:30 on the West Coast. Our enhanced coverage in prime time 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 Pacific. For our entire OLN crew, Al Trautwig in the Netherlands. See you tomorrow.